welcome to the Captain's Table Podcast. My name is Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space bartender at the AstroPub, your professor on the Astro Historian, and your moderator here on the Captain's Table Podcast. This is a long-running Star Citizen podcast where I talk about Star Citizen news, lore, and more. We do everything from theory crafting to analysis to just shooting the stuff, shooting the breeze. And this is a new version of what we've done. I've done in the past, but I wanted to kind of bring this back, which is a question and answer session where we take questions directly from the chat, the After Dark section of the of our typical streams, and just an extended question and answer with some guests. In the future, this is also going to turn into a sort of guest show, call-in show, where if you want to come on and talk about some specific topic, you can. And so we can just get more opinions outside of just the folks who are here. The idea being that I want to kind of like diversify how things are. So people, it's not just getting boring. And sometimes, like right now, when CIG decides to go radio silent for a lot, or because they're head down on something, and everyone already knows what's coming down the pipe, it's good to kind of just chat with the audience. So with that being said, let me start up the question bot, and then we'll get into the introductions. Question bot is up. Are you ready? Ready. Good. Now I'm going to start the question bot on my end. Okay. So to start off, there we go. Start us out. To start off, let's go with the Salt King, the Sultan of Salt of Stanton himself, Mr. HC Vertigo. Who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
I am a variety streamer these days. I used to do a lot of Star Citizen. Mainly do just kind of whatever. Like I like a lot of FPS games. Getting out of the spaceship, getting on foot, getting in firefights, doing. You can find me over at my channel, AC Vertigo on Twitch. I do have a YouTube channel, AC Vertigo there. Blue Sky, AC Vertigo Sky. Pretty much AC Vertigo everywhere. Instagram
Branding.
as well. Yeah.
What's your latest game you've been playing?
I've been getting into factory sims like Factorio and Satisfactory. I'm like 300 hours to a Satisfactory playthrough. 100 hours into a Factorio expansion, the space age expansion, where you can actually go to like 4 different other planets in Factorio. I finished up Stalker 2 not too long ago. That was like 100 hours, and love the atmosphere in that game. Love the gunplay in that game, and they're patching it. They're making it better. I may do a second playthrough, but it's gonna be heavily compared to the base game. What else? Oh, Project Wingman got a DLC recently, like for
recently.
Christmas. Yeah,
I think came out like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah. I was really surprised. I saw it on Blue Sky. Someone mentioned that Project Wingman got a DLC. I'm just like, what? Yeah, it was like 5. It's like 5-6 missions, and Jose Pavley comes back to redo the soundtrack, and it's amazing.
That's such a good. If you haven't played it, you should try it.
If you're a fan of what is it, Ace Combat?
Ace Combat.
Yeah, it's very similar to Ace Combat. Very arcadey.
Fun fact: it was a Kickstarted project, and the top tier that you could get in that Kickstarter was to help design a plane. And one of our, Vertigo and Naz and I's, and I guess Axis knows him too. Mutual friends, and somebody you've all probably seen or heard about, Diablos, kickstarted at the top highest thing. So there's a futuristic space age looking plane in that game that was designed by Diablos.
Nice.
So because Diablos was talking with the designers about like, what are other people choosing? It's like they're just kind of picking modifications of what already exists. So like, an F-35, but with canards, with that sort of thing. It's like you're the first person who's really then like, let's go crazy with it. So that's fun. And also a friend of mine got his voice acting start in there. He plays the one of the the beloved characters. I think he dies. I don't know if he does or not.
Probably.
But like,
in narrative, beloved means to die.
yeah. But it was his
Red
first
shirt.
It was his first like professional gig. It's Haven Kendrick. If those of you don't know who do it, he's one of the voice actors in there. It was good. So, Naz, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen, and where can they find you?
I forgot which order you just asked this in. It's fine. Let's go with reverse order. I'm on YouTube and Twitch at the Nova Forge, and some other places, and in some places Nazareth. Not as strong branded as I Vertigo. I'm terrible. I haven't done a lot with Star Citizen in the past 3+ months, basically since CitizenCon. I'm hoping to get back up onto streaming, not only Star Citizen, but every Wednesday. Not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday, and continue after that. Because I'll be on my first ever vacation for the next week.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice vacation.
Yeah, should be fun. Should be lots and lots of fun. I just kind of do whatever. What stuff am I currently doing? Lots of Space Engineers 2 right now. Like, I wish I had an extra day per day that I could just dedicate to Space Engineers 2. It's in like early access, like early access to the early access. So the only thing that's there is like 20 blocks that you can build with, and it's only creative mode. Nothing works yet. Like, there are no like gameplay functions. So like power doesn't work, crafting doesn't work. Nothing works. You just build pretty looking spaceships and space stations. That's it. That's all you do. Like, painting doesn't even work. You get like 8 colors and that's it. You're done. Someone actually figured out that you can import blueprints from the first game into the second game. So they went to Space Engineers 1, where you had you could put in
blocks,
color data, and you could import the color palette into the second game. So then you could pick the color off the palette to use in your builds. So that's the level of jank we're at currently with Space Engineers 2. But that is just so much fun. The building, the amount of quality you can get out of your build is at least 10x comparatively. So I apparently, per Tree's Discord, I have to make the an Argo somewhere between a Kraken and the Endeavor in Argo thing. So that's gonna be fun. That's what I'm currently working on.
Just a bigger version of the Argo.
Yeah, so it's gonna be something like the Kraken, except I'm thinking size-wise about 2 Krakens.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have 4 modules, and they can be either refining, storage, or hangar space. And so you can swap those out for what do you need. Do you need more hangars? Do you need more refining? Do you need more cargo? And basically being an industry Argo ship at that scale.
Axis, who are you? What do you do in Star Citizen? Where can they find you?
My name is Axis 0096. You can primarily find me on 4 different channels, but it's easier just to go to my Twitch page and click my links instead of me listing them all out.
You have the Naz problem where you don't have quite the branding quite yet, but
yeah, I'm not gonna list them all out because it's just it's easier just go to a central location on my Twitch page and just click it there.
So that's Axis 0096 on Twitch.
Lowercase, yes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. For those of you who missed this earlier, we're going to be doing a question and answer session. So we're basically just going to be answering questions from chat. There's already a lot of questions, but I do want to start some very generic, basic questions for the cast. So give y'all some time to ask your questions. The goal of this is to more just kind of ask questions that you're feeling about how you're feeling about Star Citizen and its current status and its direction and everything. So I will start with you, Axis, on this. How do you feel Star Citizen is right now?
Well, the last couple, almost regarding my streaming, I've had to go actually into Elite for about a week to kind of center myself. In fact, it's disappointing to say that with all the just bug fixes and, until a couple of days ago about the updates next Wednesday, I did a 6-hour stream in Elite. So it's it feels kind of like there's no one at the helm. Plenty of crewmen in the ship, but no one's at the helm steering the ship at the
Star
moment.
Citizen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Naz, what's your current feeling on Star Citizen? How are you enjoying Star Citizen? What's going on?
So I do need to do a little bit of explanation on this question because I thought we were going to move into a period in Star Citizen where it was a lot of really fast implementation of a lot of stuff following CitizenCon. And then they didn't talk about stuff in this, and then I watched the first 5 minutes of the 3-hour live stream, and I'm like, oh, so nothing's happening for the next year. It took me 3 days to finish that 3-hour live stream, but by the end, I completely agree with how Star Citizen is now moving forward, being basically beta with a bit of feature work thrown in.
That's far more generous than I would give it.
Because specifically, like the scenario that Jared said, they were watching a live stream with like 70,000 players, and he was there just running into an empty elevator like 7 times in a row. And like, it's unfortunately, and I really hate that it has done this before it actually got to a point of being done. Star Citizen is far more popular than it should be. And to be that, they need to be nice to those people, because as they have the data, new players are funding the game way better. So you have to be nice to new people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel absolutely slighted that everyone who's backed the game for those features that have been like talked about since 2012 are just being thrown into the pile as they work on bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel absolutely slighted for that, but it is the unfortunate reality. And the game now is like, it's got some problems, but like, it's 4.0. Like, server meshing we're here.
Mm-hmm. Like,
it's not that bad. Even like with random stuff happening, like you store your ship, boxes disappear off your ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's Star Citizen, it's still a buggy mess, but like, frames are incredible. It's consistently over 60 for me. Pyro looks amazing. It's just completely different toned. Nothing like major gameplay happened between the two versions, so that's not a thing. And like, we have a lot of like fun things coming up. Plus we have like narrative being a thing in the game. So it's really cool to be around right now. So I'm actually quite positive of where we are currently, where we're going throughout the next year. And I just kind of like, I'll get bored of whatever happens because how slow features are going to come in. But there's plenty of other sci-fi games and building game stuff. So yeah, it's all good.
Keep
Vertigo.
sinking.
Same question for you, Vertigo. Star Citizen, how are you feeling about it right now?
I mean, honestly, like, it's getting better. I mean, 4.0 was 4.01 was but they're getting hot fixes out. They're starting to do live maintenance at weird hours of the day. People are complaining about, like, we're doing server maintenance, which is good, but there's absolutely no warning or rhyme or reason when it happens. There's just whenever CIG feels like or feels they need it, they'll just, servers are down. We're patching something. You're offline.
I will agree with you, Vertigo. They need to have a set schedule with server maintenance like Elite.
Like every,
honestly, if you have an emergency, just do it, right?
Yeah.
But we'd rather have more regimented, like every Wednesday at midnight GMT. Like, I know, like, people who that's their peak hours, they're gonna get screwed over. But
just don't play Wednesdays.
Yeah, don't play Wednesdays. You know, don't go to strip club on Wednesdays. You're not going to see your favorite girl there, right?
Yeah.
Who works on a strip clubs on Wednesdays during lunch?
Yeah, I get that.
So, but honestly, like, I mean, Star Citizen is getting better, but I'm not encountering a lot of bugs. There's still stuff like where your ship is like caught in the elevator as it comes out of the ground, and it's like halfway in, like, sideways halfway in the elevator, and it's like, oh, hold on, there's a workaround I got to figure out for this, or you go to press the engage the quantum drive and it cancels out of the quantum drive, so you have to wait 5 seconds before you press and hold the fire button to like gauge quantum, because the spooling animation isn't synced with the server. It's actually like slightly behind the server or something. Elevators open into
Get out of the
nothing
chair,
still
kid.
sometimes.
Yeah.
What else? Oh yeah, the cargo transferring to warehouse bug. That's all the service outposts. That's still in the game very much. Randomly blowing up for no reason. Could be invisible players. Could be just a piece of debris. So yeah, there's still a lot of issues, but it's not as bad as it used to be, like before 4.0, and during 4.0's PTU. So like I'm feeling more hopeful. I'm hoping CIG is gonna knuckle down and give us more playable Star Citizen. We don't have any more disruptive pieces of tech on the pipeline anymore. Like we have dynamic server meshing, which is just going to be like a version of server meshing that hopefully they just kind of massage static server meshing into dynamic server meshing. It doesn't disrupt us that much. So that's what I'm kind of hoping. But I'm hoping that we don't really have to pull really big, because that was the problem with 4.0, was they got to the point where everybody in CIG was working on a version of server meshing, a version of Star Citizen that had server meshing. So they had to take the plunge and put server meshing into the live branch, because there was literally nothing left that they could put in besides like ships and maybe level that would be without server meshing. All gameplay, all roads led to server meshing being deployed. So now that we have server meshing, CIG can just start patching the current game up, occasionally bringing in like experimental stuff. I don't like. It's nice to see Pyro. I hate Pyro. They've made an art for Pyro that is so good that I hate going there, because it's ugly. Congratulations, you made a place so ugly I don't want to visit. So I'm probably just spending more time in Stanton, because, like I said, I could see stuff inside the outposts and whatnot because they have proper lighting.
At least Nyx is brighter than Stanton.
For now, like when they showed off, give them time, they'll add some fog and smoke.
Yeah,
punch out some
not to
lights.
mention like
Stars,
the entire like everything they showed in that video was the entirety of everything that is lit. Other than that, you have drug lords and stuff in the asteroid fields. Like that's all the pretty places in Nyx.
Mhm.
I cannot wait for the architecture and the opulence of both Castra and Terra, because like I'm done with grunge and dirty and rundown places so much.
Me too. Yeah, they added the rundown outposts, the derelict outposts, into Stanton. I was done with that crap when that stuff was added, and then they added
Mad
Pyro,
Max
which is basically just that
overplayed.
infinitely repeated.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would like to see some scientific. Oh, sorry.
You're good. I'm actually realized I was muted.
Yeah.
I was typing on things. I actually how to put this. I know CIG is doing this so that each system has its own theme. It's just stinky that we have Stanton and then Pyro, and it's like, oh yeah, cool. So we get like a stable system after that. It's like, no, you get Pyro, but not as like, they're not going to shank you to steal your liver. You know,
Pyro, just not violent.
Yeah, not violent. So it's still garbage, but just not violent. And then they go with like, you know, the former military base and then Terra. Like it's like, god damn it. But you know,
It makes Nyx is like basically empty. So
Yeah.
and almost done. So like it makes sense. It's like I just don't like it. It's fine.
all right.
Now,
I will say
Sorry.
for me to wrap up and move on, because we've got a lot of questions now. Suddenly, everyone's asking questions. We've got a lot of them.
There you go.
I need more.
I was expecting this to be like a 2-hour most session, but I also have HD Vertigo and Naz, and of course Axis on here, so I expect tangents galore. But I'm currently in a situation where Star Citizen is more playable than it's ever been in the past, and buggier than it's ever been in the past.
Wow.
So
The duality of Star Citizen.
well, because it's like I feel like I can now play the game because performance is improved, so I can get in and play the game. But because I'm more actively playing the game, I'm experiencing the bugs more frequently. Like the elevator is just straight up not working. The hangar's not letting you leave, falling through the planet. Like I would say on average with Star Citizen previous to 4.0, about 8 to 12 hours on average a week of Star Citizen. And I had a good time, but like, there were I was slower in pace because I was taking everything slower because of the like performance issues and other things like that. Now it feels like the game is revving up to saying you can play the game more like a regular video game. But when you do, it's like your crates don't get registered as being complete by this mission. So fuck you. Or like you fall through the planet. Today.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Crates at all. Yeah.
Today, before the stream, I spent an hour and a half just trying to get out of Checkmate. And then when I got out of Checkmate, I also found out that when I was about to get out of Checkmate, CSG wiped all of my controls for like my sticks. So I had to reset up my control, not the binds, just the direction. So I had to figure out what it was. So I fixed that. And then after I fixed that and I flew off, I went down to the planet where I was going to deliver the missions. And I was like, cool, I got here, delivered the mission, everything worked. I was like, wow, this is great. Cool. It's that they actually fixed these missions. And then I'm like, okay, so I now got to go buy some illicit substances because I was at, Rust. So, which is where you can buy some neon. So, but I couldn't find where to purchase the neon because it was pitch dark and there was no signage. So I was like, where neon? And so I eventually had to fly from the upper level to the lower level, got to the lower level, ran around a little bit more. This is after about like 30 minutes of running around and on top. And then I found the place and it was like, cool. I went in, purchased all my neon, walked outside, vaulted over something and fell straight through the planet. And it was like, all right, Star Citizen, I guess this is just what it is. And I think that's sort of the feel of Star Citizen right now is the game functions, but there are bugs. There are bugs enough that just to say, no, go.
There are still bugs that will literally make you rage quit, like if it happens to you at the wrong moment. Like I saw a clip on Reddit the other, last week of a guy, he's running around with his buddies. They got like this mission they're doing in Pyro. Mm-hmm. And like two of his buddies ran out. They're inside of a building doing like looking for loot and whatnot. And he's part of a huge party. And two of his buddies run out of the building in front of him. He runs right up behind those guys. He's the guy who falls to the floor. For some reason, it was just him. Just him that got screwed over by Star Citizen. Star Citizen chose him. He was the chosen one.
My second experience in 4.0, because the first one went okay. I only had about an hour, and we did Pyro phase 1 for Fight for Pyro, little box missions. It went fine. Just pick up the boxes, you deliver them. One of the oldest missions in the game. But the first time I was playing 4.0 solo, I went to go jump back to Stanton because there was other members of my party in Stanton. I jumped through from Pyro and ended up in Pyro. I was very confused. I'm like, I must have done something wrong. So I go through again. Again, I jump from Pyro to Pyro.
Yeah.
Like perfectly the jump point.
Yeah.
I go, I'm like, I'm done with Pyro for today. I want to go to Stand and do some missions over there. So I hit the jump point, go through the jump point, and back in Pyro. It's like, okay, I guess I'll just unbind my spawn point and back.
Yeah.
Thanks, Star Citizen.
So completing a jump point took me a couple days, but like that was my first time going through a jump point, and it's the jump points are actually Tauruses. They're just roundabouts, and I got off the wrong exit.
And I think that's the problem is that Star Citizen is currently in a situation where bugs can compound upon bugs, and when the bugs compound upon bugs, then it becomes unplayable. Because it's like, oh, you have a bug, like your elevator isn't working. Okay, well, you can do a workaround, get a friend to go through the elevator, and then they can maybe pick you up and get you down. But then you get through that, and then as you step off the elevator, you phase through the hangar, and now you're falling straight down. It's like, okay, well then I gotta log into another server and then come back and I'll log back in here. Oh, the elevators are working now. I'm getting my friend's ship. You take off on the friend's ship, and then as you're flying through, the ship explodes because it's actually the hangar doors aren't open. And it's like that sort of things that can compound where it's just like this game just doesn't want me to play it, you know?
Yeah. Like performance is up, but playability's down.
Yeah.
Like it's mildly unplayable, but it runs great.
Yeah. And it's one of those weird times where this happened in the past for Star Citizen, but I don't think it's actually the reason why it's more playable or why it runs great, but it's unplayable isn't because it's unplayable. Like the reason why it's improved, it's because of the back end structures they've done. But yeah. All right. So what would you? Let's just skip to that last part because we've got a lot of questions going on. I'll start with you on this one, Vertigo. What would make you want to come back and play Star Citizen more frequently? What are things that you'd want to see?
Bug fixes and stability like this year, like CIG promised. Like, just having Star Citizen be funner to play. One thing I really want them to focus on is like reducing the amount of friction it takes to actually get into the game, get it geared up. Getting stuff into your ship, getting ready to go, because it's always been a gigantic pain in the butt to get all your stuff together. It's just like every time you boot up Star Citizen, it's like, oh man, it's going to take a half hour to get everybody, because some guys are on Microtech, some guys are in Pyro, some people are on ArcCorp, some people are they're at Delamar. We got to get everybody to the same place. We got to get all geared up. We got to make sure everybody has money to buy ammo. Like right now, I'm gearing up for 402. Right now for Star Citizen, so I'm going around now. We had the wipe for 401, wiped my entire inventory. So now I'm going around doing missions in Stanton and gathering up like guns, lots and lots of guns, many tools, multi-tools, armor as I can come across it. Getting money, gonna buy a lot of armor, a lot of supplies, and I'm gonna ship that stuff over to Pyro. I'm gonna start doing stuff in Pyro.
Yes.
But yeah, stability, get those bugs fixed, get those elevators working, get those doors working for the hangars, get the elevators working for people who actually like. I do cargo every so often. I kind of enjoy the nice just slinging cargo around a little bit, kind of a change of pace.
Oh, okay. Naz, what would take you to play Star Citizen more frequently?
I would be lying and remiss if I did not agree a lot, but a stabler current Star Citizen would not make me play Star Citizen more. Okay. Because as I touched on earlier, like the game that is now is not the game that I want to play. The game that is promised is the game I want to play with crafting and base building and stuff like that. That's the stuff I want to be doing. The long hauls that take multiple systems to go. You gotta like move stuff from Terra to Castor or whatever. Like that's the kind of stuff I want to do. So I want to see more fleshed out cargo, but cargo, as it was told 2 Citizen Cons ago, obviously bug fixes with docking and things like that, faction gameplay, long-term progression, and crafting.
Okay. Axis, what would take you? What do you think Star Citizen needs for you to play more? What do you think it needs?
Well, definitely more systems, because right now we have Spicy Stanton and Normal Stanton, as a lot of people call it, Red Stanton and Lukewarm Stanton. But I think more variety of locales is going to open up doors for more mission types. Because remember, we have basically 2 sides of a coin right now. Not many gray areas. Nyx, once we get Nyx, it's more of a gray between black and white, lawful and unlawful. Pyro's more in your face, unlawful, destructive, violent, warmongering. You get it. Whereas Stanton is more controlled, narrative wise, and more stable, I guess would be the word. Sure, they have the Nine Tails, but they're nothing like Xenothreat.
Okay.
To a degree. Nyx, though, has its own share of problems. And as we know, there you have the Moraine. And somebody brought up something, but we're going to save that for the comments because I saw it. It was mentioning Citizens for Prosperity. And I thought it was very, very interesting to think about, with Nyx coming in to add to the narrative, invading factions coming into the territory of the People's Alliance, vying for power over Levski.
It's kind of what the Moraine are there for too. Yeah, so I could see that. Because there is lore that the CFP has a chapter in Nyx, so we could see the CFP in Nyx somewhere. But
I highly doubt they want the Levski though.
Yeah,
they're a bit busy.
Yeah. So what I'll say about what I would like to see, what would get me to play more Star Citizen, is stability is important and bug fixes are important, but I also need a reason to play. Because like I enjoy trading missions, I enjoy the other missions if I can do them. They're fun enough, but I need factions. I need reputation. Like I need CIG to figure out how to get that to work so I can actually invest myself in the game, because I'm not the kind of player who can just be like, cool, I'm going to sit here in the grind. I'm going to grind all I want all day. I need to have a reason to be there. Something to invest me into the story or into the universe, or invest me into like I can justify why I'm playing it. I can do that for like a single player game because it's like, oh yeah, I want to complete the story or I want to play this character that I'm playing. So I think the factions, or in specifically reputation, is the big one, which kind of is the grind, but
just every kind of grind. But it would be nice to be able to have like a game that you could enjoy playing with other people, because we're supposed to be an MMO, right?
Mm-hmm.
And big part of MMO is just playing with other people. Like I would love to be able to do like a pub crawl with you, Paul, through Stan and Pyro.
Yeah.
If the bartenders ever start work, the bartenders will put drinks in front of you. You could order a drink, the bartender put a drink in front of you. You can't pick it up. Yeah. Can't pick it up.
Oh wow!
You psychically.
We're so close. We were millimeters away from being able to do this.
I've had the bartenders working really well in a couple of patches ago. Like everyone keeps saying they're always broken. I had them working like almost every time I go to attempt. Like it takes me like maybe 10 minutes to get the drink, but like it's always happened.
All right, so let's get with the first question. Radar Ranger has asked a question in the request because Radar Andy almost made it on, but we don't have enough space if Andy wanted to be on. So I will ask this question, and I'll start with you on this axis. Andy asks, what role do you see VR playing in Star Citizen, and where does it rank among your wish list of features?
Kind of an optional feature for me, mainly because Oculus and stuff is like extra $300 maybe minimum. I'm just saying, sure, VR is a nice input for people that want to experience it.
It's one of those things that was promised a long time ago, but you can bootstrap it into Star Citizen.
How much is an Oculus, guys? Brand new, $300.
Let me look it up real quick. Like a plug-in Oculus, not the
like a standard Oculus,
not the Quest. Yeah.
Oculus is dead. Long live Oculus.
I'm just saying whatever's used.
Oh, the Meta Quest is what they is called.
Yeah. No, we're not gonna change the name. Kill it.
Gosh. So let's look up the. I think the one is probably the HTC Vibe or the HTC.
HTC Vive is also dead.
What's the current
I don't know. So Oculus Quest, not Oculus, Meta Quest 3, I think is the newest one.
Mm-hmm.
Reverb G2 is kind of old now. PlayStation VR 2. It's Pico have one? I think Pico has one now.
Can you use a Meta Quest for something like Star Citizen? I don't think you can, because
yes, you can. Yeah.
You can? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
it's a desktop VR. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So my argument is, if you're going to spend $300 for that, why don't you just get some
$400?
shit?
It's $400.
$400. You can buy an ironclad or something.
Yeah.
Almost.
So you're saying it's mostly just it's a nice accessory, but it shouldn't be built just specifically for Star Citizen. Star Citizen shouldn't be built specifically for VR. Okay.
For me, it's optional.
Naz, what are your thoughts on VR? and where would it?
So
what
I
its role is
own.
in Star
Well,
Citizen.
I had the Vive, HTC Vive, first gen,
Mhm.
second gen, one of the two original ones, not the Galaxy, whatever the Fallout Business Class was, or the Focus. And then I got the PSVR 1, and now I have the Reverb G2. Unfortunately, I haven't found like a lot of compelling games. I think the two games that I have would actually like recommend is Beat Saber and Half-Life Alyx, though Half-Life Alyx could sell VRs anyway. It's freaking amazing. It is phenomenal and is a case study in why VR is amazing. I didn't know that was on the Kickstarter for a while, and I heard them talking about it, and then they also talked about it. I think it was in interviews at CitizenCon that one of the graphics guys was talking about it. There is several devs, including Chris Roberts, that love VR and love the idea of VR. I think, where would I rank it? Pretty highly. Like, I would have to put it in like a second list of graphics, and not as an optional graphics, but like as a definite. I wouldn't call it an optional because like it's been promised, it's been talked about, and I really want it. There are not enough compelling VR games. But like Global Illumination, I think, yeah, I would probably put VR as a graphics in the graphics list at the top. But obviously, not 100% of the population can attain
Afford it.
VR, so it can't go in the above base features like crafting, engineering, not falling through the planet, stuff like that. But I think as far as like excited for the implementation of anything, probably crafting, base building, VR. Then factions. Like that's the whole list.
Vertigo, your thoughts on VR and Star Citizen and what it's.
I mean, I don't like VR games that much. I find them kind of gimmicky. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who'd like it. CIG put it on their stretch goals for like the hangar module, and it's just kind of stayed on there, and they haven't done anything with VR. So I don't know. Like,
I mean, technically, they fulfilled that stretch goal because it was implementing the Oculus Rift support, and they had Oculus Rift support. Then they killed the Oculus, so now it's out of date. So they technically fulfilled that.
I have not the very first Oculus Rift, but the one that came just before they became the MetaQuest. And I enjoyed it for what it was worth, and the games that were part of it were fun. I never used it for other things like Elite Dangerous or anything else like that I could have used it for. The one
such a terrible game in VR.
But the issue is, I think with Oculus or with any sorts of VR headsets, is it comes down to how much does it integrate in the game? Because one of the things that I absolutely 100% hate about VR is that it's a room experience. So when you try to move around in VR, you want to move because it feels right when you move. And most games really nail movement right, but you often have to jump, little sticks to jump to make you go from point A to point B. And that's super like not immersive. It's great when you're sitting down and just doing something. It's not good for everything else. And while Star Citizen can be very immersive because of that, like unless you're just sitting down and flying your ship, I don't see it being a very viable feature other than a nice option for people to have outside. I also don't think it's going to be a Star Citizen like, buy a VR so you could play it in Star Citizen, kind of like a Half-Life Alyx was, because I don't think it would work nearly as well. But
I mean, there are ways to fix those that like one walk in place in games needs to be a thing. And then there's Infinite Deck and Cat VR, which gives you walking, jumping, crouching space within standing space.
Yeah, but that's like an additional peripheral you have to purchase, right?
So, those are like way more expensive than the headsets.
Yeah. So, it's an interesting story because I know that like Ollie Brown, I think, is really into VR and wants to support VR, and he's the person who's behind.
Isn't Chachi? I think it's Chachi, right?
Might be. I don't know who the other person is.
Like he actually runs a Discord and actually has tutorials on how to actually mod Star Citizen to use VR now.
So like it's definitely something that they're going to support. I just see it as more of a nice to have rather than a must have. All right. So the first question from chat that we have is from Gin and Tonic, who's asking a very interesting question. I'll start with you on this one, Naz. Where does your handle name come from? Like Nazareth, where does Nazareth come from?
That was a specific. Okay. Wow. Back when I don't even know what year it was. When I started the book series, The 39 Clues. The first couple books are really good. I haven't actually finished the series because I'm bad at finishing things. They came with like little trading cards that were like huge cards. And I don't know why, but there's a website to sign up for, and it was, mid 2000s internet, so obviously you made an account on everything. So I needed a username, and I didn't like the passed down from parents usernames that I've just been given when they set up accounts. So I wanted to make my own username. And so I'm like, well, how do I make a name? And so I just sat down, well, N's the first letter of my IRL name, so N. What are sounds I know how to spell? And so I'm like, okay, I like my favorite letter is Z, so Z ERIS because I know how to spell those sounds. And so I just and jumbled a few things up, added an A in there, NAZERIS. Ta-da! I made a name and it's been with me ever since.
I'm gonna save Axis for the last because I know what Axis's name is in reference to, and it's we'll nerd out about
Vertigo's
gut stuff. Vertigo, where does your name come from?
Oh man, from a really old arcade game called Primal Rage, one of my favorite characters in there. Also, on my other favorite video game, Descent.
Okay.
Your call sign was Vertigo 1 in that game.
So where does the HC come from?
Comes from a somewhat famous Hollywood director who directed a movie called Vertigo.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you,
yeah.
you don't remember.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but his name is AH would be his abbreviations.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Hitchcock, it works.
Hitchcock,
right?
Yeah.
I needed something because Vertigo was already taken.
Yeah. That works.
Yeah, that's a problem I don't have. Very, very few platforms have a Nazareth. The only one time I've heard or I've run into the problem where somebody has had my name before me was a garbage a account that was made but never used on Twitter.
Yeah, that's the same. That's my name was going to be AstroPub. The short story is I used to be called Berserker01. That's been my handle since the Xbox, but it was my first Xbox Live handle when I first got Xbox Live for Halo 2. And so I just copied that forever. And then when I wanted to rebrand my stream, because Berserker didn't really fit a brand, and this is before you could actually change your names on Twitch. On Twitch, you had to start a brand new channel. So I started a brand new channel, and with the help of Grockies and a bunch of other people in the community, I came up with the name AstroPub. But the problem was on Twitter, there was somebody who was called AstroPub. It was an astronomy fan club in Northern England that had 2 people who followed them. It was like, great. So TheAstroPub. And ironically, I realized that the Captain's Table, TheAstroPub, I was like, I'm just the Paul Shelley, TheAstroPub, the Astro Historian, the Captain's Table. Like that's my brand is the. If it wasn't already taken, I'd make a YouTube channel that just called the.
Is that take?
It probably is, Axis, where does your name come from?
Okay. I'm going to have to go back to the beginning of my first channel on YouTube.
Okay.
My actual channel name, you see, I've had to rename it because Capcom sent me actually funny thing, a cease and desist. My original handle for my YouTube channel was Mega Man 87. And they didn't take kindly to that. So I had to think of something really fast to rename my YouTube channel. And this was back in, I want to say 2017. I'd had the YouTube channel since 2009, no problems. But times change and you have to change usernames. So I started throwing all sorts of pseudonyms together, and then it dawned on me, well, let's try something funny. And it stuck. The Axis and 0096, for those of you who are mecha fans, particularly in anime, is from the Universal Century and a place called the Axis Asteroid. Mm-hmm. And in the Universal Century 0096, it's been 3 years since Char's counterattack, since the fragments were pushed away from the Earth by the Axis shot. Mm-hmm. It's mentioned in Gundam Unicorn.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was like Unicorn, or it was like Axis is a story that is a name that comes back in the Gundam universe as well, and another Gundam series and.
Oh yes.
Stuff, so
Char basically tried to turn the Earth into a smoking pile of rubble by dropping an asteroid onto it. Yeah. So yeah.
Calling a drop. Well, not really, but yeah, actual asteroid rather than calling it.
Xi'an was right, by the way.
Okay. There we go. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Cody's Fox 00 asks, I don't think I've ever seen paints on the pledge store for the large capital ships like the Idris, Javelin, Kraken. Do you know why? Would you like to see paints for those? This is a pretty simple one. The know why is because none of them are in the game yet.
Yeah, none of them are in the game yet, and probably the number of people that own them probably wouldn't make the cost investment worth it.
Yeah, to actually have an artist sit down and create.
I mean. Yeah.
And they're be like big ships, so you'd have to. There's a lot of setup you're going to have to do to get the skins to look right. Did they Polaris even get skins? I can't remember.
Yes, it did.
Yes,
it did. 3 of them.
But it got one. It had one, I believe, when it was being sold. Like typically, what'll happen is large ships will get one special snowflake early adopter skin, maybe 2, because you might get one for like the. What are they? The concierge or the folks who spent a lot of money, where you're part of the Million Mile High Club, whatever they call it. They give you an option to, when you purchase it as a war bond, they give you that extra skin.
And the Kraken does have a skin.
What's the skin?
Does it the Kmart?
No, what is it called? That's why it's like Cousin Crows has like their thing on it. That's why Cousin Crows is the narrative thing.
The Privateer
is the Kraken, and they have. I don't even know if it. I don't think it was sold, but they have confirmed like there is a alternate skin for the Kraken. Yeah, no, I don't know. But they helped make the Kraken. They helped design the Kraken, at least paint wise, and then they said that there was another skin because. Cousin Crows did a Cousin Crows thing.
But I they have Cousin Crow skin for the Kraken.
It's not a lot of feasible. I think they'll probably will do skins, but I wouldn't be surprised if the skins they put in are game assets. Like meaning like you only earn them in game. Like you did with the Fight for Pyro event sort of thing, where you get.
We might get some very basic ones, like the Polaris skins. Have you noticed? Are very plain.
Very meh.
Yeah.
They're very, very plain. Like a grayish. There's this grayish one, this like tealish green, and the other one's kind of black, I want to say, or kind of a burnt. I don't know what to say. It's not black, but it's kind of a darker gray, battleship gray.
Mm-hmm. I will say that the one thing I could see the skins coming out for is because CIG is not so subtly hinted that players will be able to make their own skins.
One of these days.
We confirmed it many times, and then they go like they'll announce like, hey, yeah, players are gonna be able to like color their ships how they want, and then like halfway between the next time they announce it, they'll be like, I don't know if we can actually do that. It doesn't seem to work well.
Yeah,
and they'll flop back and forth.
Well, they did so with crafting. It's like it's one of those elements they've talked about with like crafting your own skins will be a thing. So I could see it being something that they just don't want to do until they have crafting. But it's also just straight up, they're not in game. When they're not in game or players can't fly them, then like they're not going to give us any skins, because typically you don't get a skin unless it's already in game and flyable. So, all right, let's move on to the next one.
And everything needs a Star Kitten.
Yeah, everything needs a Star Kitten. There should be a Star Kitten version of every Drake ship. I will die on that.
Like, imagine a Polaris, Star Kitten Polaris.
There needs to be a Star Kitten Redeemer as well, just because it's the idea of having a giant pink gunship is funny.
Yeah, I think all the civilian ships should have more garish paint scheme.
Yeah.
Okay, I got one thing to say about Star Kitten. Those Doom Bear helmets make a Star Kitten version of those for Day of the War.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be so good.
A Star Kitten Doom, like the big bear. Oh yeah, big helmet. That'd be great. Well, and I know.
Okay, now they need like the whole like the angry punk bear things with like e-tape over an eye, like stitched up. I'm thinking of an entire theme for the fiction now.
Yeah. So the thing is and I know people get mad at this because there's more than a few people who get mad that there is more than the color black in the game.
Yes.
Because they don't like the idea of like personalization, and there's an argument out there currently.
You'll play Elite. Sorry. When
you get too garish with the color schemes, that you lose. It just sort of gets muddled. Like the whole things get muddled. But I would argue that a lot of what we see in Star Citizen is CIG is trying to mimic what the real world looks like. So they're going to create the tactical camo stuff, but because it's the scope and the paint, their canvas is so much broader than most typical games. They're going to attach crazy stuff that you see in real life and also stuff that you would see in the military, and then you'd see them clash, sort of situations. It's not too complicated. I don't think for them to do both. It's okay to do both. You just give the options.
Just imagine Org War with like all of these like in brand like Polarises and mega ships show up, and then there's this one pink Polaris in the lineup, just like
Yep. That pink Polaris is the command ship. That's why it's pink.
The thunderclap paint needs to be reused only twice more. One on the Galaxy and one on the Polaris.
Yeah,
a thunderclap for the Polaris, a variation of it. Not exactly like the Perseus. Yeah. To differentiate between the three. So like a different color for the Galaxy, a different color for the Polaris, and then the OG for the Perseus. Yeah.
I will follow this up with, and then move on to this one. Is, as this chat said, we need pinups. We need to have the War Thunder. Is it World of Tanks or War Thunder, where you can kind of like put like
probably both.
Like put like images on stock images.
I played War Thunder, and you can like do some decal stuff with that.
They need to have a decal system where you can like.
We only have one pinup. It's a Heartseeker.
Heartseeker. Yeah. Those would be cool, because I think even if they're just stock whatever, people will find out ways of doing things. And of course, people go, but time to penis. It's like, who gives a shit? We had
salvage. It's already been done.
It's already too late. Like you could take. It's less than 10 seconds for you to make a penis.
Have the whole scene on radar. Ta-da!
Yeah.
All right.
It's one of my favorite ships, but it looks so bad.
Lady Space Patrol asks, remember Scan Wave being in almost every month report in 2024, then poof gone. What's up with that? We know what's up with that. The people who were in charge of doing those sorts of things are probably focusing on fixing features that already exist in game, because they've already said that they pulled people off of features and moved them to fixing features rather than building new features. So while it's not confirmed, it's all but confirmed by said anything you think you'd want to work on in the future of the feature and for future features has probably been reprioritized, because those people are now being moved over to the features, to fixing features. So
I would not use the word reprioritize, because it is their same priority.
Yes.
But they are temporarily pausing it in its priority to work on fixes. So it will go back to work in the same priority list.
And it's not like those teams are not working on it. They just aren't. That's not their main focus. They're like, their main focus is to do this, and then when they're waiting for another team to fix, they'll go back to work on scanning, stuff like that. That's the way that Jared described it on Twitter, was just like, hey, this team is still working on it, but if this other team needs help, they will get pulled over to help that team, and then when they're done, they come back. And sometimes not the entire team is going to be pulled over to do that. So
yeah, And during the ship panel, this last CitizenCon, they also talked about. Oh yeah, that was 2014. No, you saw it. No,
Yeah.
I thought that was a year ago for some reason.
Yeah. Lady Space Patrol also asks, remember when they stood on stage in October 2023 and told us there would be to be able to create and share star map markers? What's up with that? We need scanning.
I mean, it's CIG. Like they love debating us with stuff at CitizenCon that takes either forever to come out or gets reprioritized.
Mhm.
Yep.
So it's just
that's all lumped into the scanning stuff. Data, basically.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you need to have scanning, and that scanning system needs to be able to save the data, and that's all scanning and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Hacking's also waiting on data.
Yeah.
Data as a concept in the game, not
Yeah.
just data storage.
It looks like they showed us a data pad for the preview sneak peek.
We have data pads in game. That sneak peek means less than nothing to me.
yeah.
It might be like something that's to do with like storytelling and what they're going to be doing in the future. But again, that's an entire different. I have done 2 videos on how CIG needs to improve their storytelling, and data pads are not the fucking answer. But that's completely different.
Nope. That I would have been hopeful if it wasn't Pyro Amalgamated themed, because back on the ISC in ye olden times, it wasn't that long ago, but they showed us the concepts for their data devices, and they were all yellow. All of them were yellow as like a key out. Like, hey, this is data stuff. And these pads were yellow. Except Pyro Amalgamated, their theme is yellow. So it could be something, could be nothing. I expect it to be nothing, because they would be talking about data if data was close.
Yeah. They'd be talking about it
if they're working on it, and then you haven't.
Yep.
So. Lady Space Patrol has asked a lot of questions. So the next one is, salvage wrecks and event missions often spawn with bodies inside. Could these be incapacitated patients in need of rescue instead from medical missions? This is content possible in 2025, or does McGuff or Refactor prevent us from having compelling medical content until our hair goes gray?
I mean, I would love to have like medical content for actual, NPC medical content, instead of having to like kill players that may be trying to ambush you and take your shit.
I think it'd be really cool.
I think what that is actually waiting for is mission refactor. I think once
mission refactor and the 3D navigation stuff to be finalized.
Yeah, I think that's closer than you think, and I think that's something that we probably will see this year, at least if not concepted out this year. So
yeah, it'd be really cool if once the mission happened. I guess they can only do that once you take the mission, because the mission doesn't instantiate until you take the mission, not till star sim. So in the meanwhile, once you take the mission, a timer starts, maybe like an invisible timer, says, hey, the patients or the crew members have this much left because their life support's down.
Yeah.
And if you get there in enough time and don't dilly-dally and all this other stuff, you go there, you can save them. But if you show up, X amount of time after you take the mission, they will be still dead crew members.
Yeah. Was that?
Like contextual missions.
And that's one of those things where it's 100% possible with the technology that CIG has right now, with all of the features they have right now, plus all of the ships they have right now. That is everything about rescuing NPCs who are downed or injured is entirely possible. The question is more building the mission, rigging the mission, and getting it functioning in the back end. But that requires like
work, effort, desire to actually make something.
Yeah. It requires CIG to prioritize.
I'm sure they have great plans of what Star Citizen is going to be. They just need to have the manpower and the man-hours.
Yeah.
Just put onto that project.
Yeah. Elliot needs to have a system that works before he can build something. So
yeah, they stop being the poster child for what ADHD looks like on a corporate scale.
Ask you this question, Axis. Lady Space Patrol asks, please give us your predictions for what ships release in which months for 2025.
Oh boy, this will be fun.
Axis, I'll start with Axis if you want to, or I can start Axis if you want to.
I'm gonna go and look up stuff then.
Well, we already have a couple of them already out. Think about it. We already have the Super Hornet and Hornet Heart Seeker Merc 2s. We have the new Salvager that, well, I'll just call it the poor man's Vulture that's in a better ship. But
The misfortune. Yeah, I was going to say.
Misfortune.
I always like to say it. It's the vulture for people who don't like Drake.
The vulture for people who don't like Drake.
Okay, I like Drake, and I like Salvage. I don't like the vulture.
Fair. But the ship's coming up. I have some theories. Now, the background thing we saw at SitCon may or may not happen. We understand this. They did show the other CSV, I guess it's called the Argo CSV.
CSV, not SM, the FM.
The fabrication module, the small one. That one, even though it was shown very early, I wouldn't expect it at all early in the year. Look where we are. We're in almost March.
Mm.
I would say at the earliest, we would see that maybe in November or possibly early next year. Throwing that out there.
Because it needs base building.
Anything fabrication or engineering or building stuff. It's medium fabricator, exactly. Now, the Ironclad is a very interesting one because it's been in production for a while. Both the versions, probably. I'm assuming.
I hope.
Yeah, I'm hoping too, because I have one. I could see it either being at Drake Defense Con as a flyable, which would be hilarious. How far away is that, Paul? Like 2 months? 3 months?
Defense Con?
Yeah.
End of May.
So we're entering March. So April, May. We have 60 days.
90 days, yeah, about that. Yeah.
They could squeeze that in if they are really good on it. We know the Perseus is getting near done because it was shown in an ISC as a silhouette, as a bit of foreshadowing. Now, will both of them be at Fleet Week? Probably one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning more maybe toward the Perseus. Mainly because people like big guns.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Perseus as well. Good call.
What about other things? The TAC. We know they're also working on the TAC. That one, I don't think will make Fleet Week at all. More than likely, end of year, IAE at the earliest. Maybe Fleet Week next year. I don't want to dash hopes, but I'm staying optimistic, but still, it's a big ship. It's kind of an internal redesign of the Star Lancer. It's got its own hangar for its fighter, so it's kind of different. What do you guys think of the other ships?
Okay, so I couldn't tell you exactly what it was. I'm gonna start off by saying there's no way we can predict what comes out with what month, but I can tell you.
You can throw ideas and see if they.
Well, we don't even know what ships are coming out. Like the ships that we know that are scheduled to come out this year and are planned to come out this year are the TAC.
It's really hard at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, the TAC, the Percy, and the Ironclad. Those are the three we know for sure, and the Apollo. So 4 ships, and we have what 9 months left. So like. That's a lot of gap, and also every major sale they usually do a small, medium, and a large, or usually like 3 or so, 2 to 3 ships sold at the same time. So you're looking at least 6 ships or at least 4 ships in between June and October, or June and November. Plus also CitizenCon-ish area usually has 1 ship, so it's like 5 minimum, on top of everything else. So, but I will say that more than likely what we're going to see is a lot of small stuff early on that doesn't have anything to do with base building. Anything that has to do with base building, put it away. The BLD,
That's it.
gone. The like the little box, the one
FM?
that's the FM thing, yeah, that's gone. It's anything that's out there is gone. Like anything that is base building is going to not make it, including the Pioneer. So just do not expect it. I would expect the TAC. I would expect the Apollo, the Percy, and the Ironclad in there. Maybe the Ironclad Assault. Maybe those 5.
Yeah, they showed off the Ironclad, so that's good. Perseus Ironclad's good game.
And I think
they said the Perseus is before the Galaxy, so that's after player switch. So
yeah. So I think if CIG wants to go ballsy, and they could, but because this is CIG, they are unpredictable at times. They
Very
usually don't,
yeah.
but they could drop the Percy and the Ironclad at the same time.
Or hell, they could drop the Idris too.
That's true.
Oh my god.
That thing's basically ready to go.
And
I
while
have a pee.
people are talking about the Apollo needs drone tech, but it doesn't actually need drone tech. Its main shtick is not the drone; it's the swappable beds, and they already have technology both in the game for modular brooms. So
yeah,
for
say
swapping
thank
modular
you,
rooms.
Halsey, because that's where they built the tech.
Yeah. Halsey, the Retaliator was their first proof of concept, so it's already available. It's just a matter of does it work with the Apollo. So, ooh, I'm people. Jin, yes, you are people. Ballsy, not palsy. Yeah, no, ballsy.
Is it my turn now?
So I would say for sure we're gonna get the TAC sometime between now and
the heat death of the
universe. I think it's coming out in August. I would say the TAC is a good solid August September release. And it's either the Percy or the Ironclad. If they don't drop at the same time, then I would say the Ironclad is more than likely, and then the Percy shortly afterwards. And then the Apollo, I think, was a citizen gunship. So I will say, I couldn't tell you up until June, but June, if I had to make a decision, I would say Ironclad in June, or Ironclad in May, Perseus in July, TAC in August, September, and Apollo in October would be my guess. Go ahead, Naz.
All right, so out of the 16 silhouettes we saw, I know the question's not specifically 16, but we can't make up new concepts that they haven't talked about. So,
I mean, you can't, but
okay, yeah, you're right. We can't. I'm not going to make up concepts they haven't talked about. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have 4 of the 16 already out: the Hornet Tracker and Ghost, the Misfortune, and the Turtle Medical. Terrapin. There we go. They also showed off, as we've discussed, the CSV FM, a Atlas platform that I believe is the one with the trailer for the build stuff, the build, and then the Pioneer. So, like we just said, all those wipe off the face of the Earth because they don't matter till base building thing, and that could be now in the heat death of the universe. So that leaves us the Gray Cat Beef, which I call it because it's this really big gray cat. It's like a gray cat version of the Ursa.
Mhm.
That could become sometime soon because gray cat, small vehicle. So anytime it's a vehicle, they could shadow drop it whenever they want. We also have the weird break ball with wings. And the other thing that looks like a beefier Guardian thing.
Really, another beefier Guardian? We already have
another
Guardians.
beefier Guardian. Like it's like Guardian, but the wing or the like spikes are like they have different shapes to them because the Guardian's
like
very
thicker
thin
and like this angle.
Yeah, it's almost like
Instead of, like-
claw shaped instead of thin racy shaped.
They're like a claw ship from Star
they-
Wars.
They
not
threw off the perspective on it because like it looks tiny because of where they put some of the people for scale. But I think they intentionally threw them in at different those people at different distances specifically to throw off your perception. So yeah.
Well, yeah, beefy, not necessarily bigger. It also has feet that I don't think the Guardian has. I would imagine. So I imagine the Apollo is being done by Montreal and is sometime sooner rather than later because they just got done with the Zeus, moving on to the Apollo. Because they already did the thing. So Montreal's working on that. Perseus is being done by most of the Polaris guys. So those two would be my first picks for new ships. And then, which one are they coming out with first? The ball with wings or the ironclad? I'm gonna go opposite you guys. So at first quarter would be probably I'm gonna go with Apollo and ball with wings. Oh, not first quarter, second quarter, because that's when the first big ship sale is.
Mhm.
Yeah, so second quarter is Ball with Wings and the Apollo.
Wing ball. Okay.
Third quarter,
The-
Perseus and
what
Ironclad.
was it in Harry Potter? The Snitch. Yeah. The Snitch and Apollo. Okay, continue.
Yeah, Snitch and Apollo. I love the name. Makes sense. Let's see. Oh, we also have the Consolidated Outland. Nobody knows.
Mhm.
Forgot about that.
There's another CO.
Yeah, the starter CO or the mid-size CO because it's bigger than the Nomad,
the
but
Nomad.
it's
Wow.
Which
I
oh,
meant-
that makes me so excited. I forgot about that one. And as a caveat that we didn't say that they definitely said multiple times in states, not all of these are coming this year. Probably, maybe these
Yeah.
are the ones that will be touched throughout the year.
Yes.
Which means they'll let build stuff maybe past the end of the year. Consolidated Outland doesn't go to Invictus, right? Do they go
Yeah, it
to
does.
Invictus?
Yeah, they do.
They have the Delta.
Yeah.
So
They count the
ship
Delta.
Invictus.
That's why.
That's about it, I think.
The funny part is that Drake specifically does make ships for the military. It's just the military don't use it in combat. Like the Red,
Yeah.
they have Reds and they have Vultures. They just
Mhm.
don't. They use them for like support services. And they're like, oh well, we're not going to let you into Invictus. It's like, but you let freaking Misk into Invictus, and they don't do anything but support services. So like, what the
And
hell
they
are you
don't
talking
even
about?
do that when like Misk got like the contract, they handed it off to Aegis anyway.
Yeah, but none of their ships were direct combat ships. But yeah, so it's because the UE Navy is salty that Drake likes
Somebody got
make fun of
upset
him.
and then like
Yeah.
barred him for that. Like you know, it's just what.
Oh,
this-
and Drake loves it.
does.
That's their entire like in the lore. That's their
Yeah.
entire marketing strategy. Is like the UE Navy doesn't want you to see this, but we have this. Don't you
Yeah,
love it?
and
You
I
know?
love that. I love that about them. So nice for them. So I'm actually gonna put the medium CO also in Q3. So that and the Ironclad in Q3. And then I'm not placing the beefy Gray Cat thing.
Uh,
And then I'm forgetting all the build stuff just because I have no idea. Whenever building comes in, I imagine because of how they said they want to do it, it's not going to be just here's small building and then some odd later they'll do medium building. They're going to have the entire set of building all at once.
I'm hoping we
Maybe-
get that Atlas variant with the gun turrets up front.
oh,
That's
We
not
have
the
that
old
called the Ballista.
No, there's a different one with bigger guns. They showed much bigger.
Are you talking about the silhouette? Because that's
No.
the trailer.
that's the there's one that looks like it's got like a mobile SAM site in the back with like a tractor. It looks like a tiny little ship, like it has like a big like boxy anti-aircraft like SAM torpedo or SAM missiles on it.
Mhm.
That's
I
got
missed
tracks. It looks like a Gray
Half
Cat
track.
PTV.
Talking about the Storm?
No, but it's we're talking about the silhouettes in the
Okay.
at CitizenCon.
Yeah, I'm looking at the one now. Like
Yes,
that's
that's the
doesn't look like a
beefy, right?
SAM at all.
It's got tractor beams. It's got the big box in the back, right?
Yeah, like they showed that off at the first time they
Yeah,
showed
so-
base building.
So this might be a leak, but that's actually not a that's not a
Don't
tractor.
crush my dreams.
That's an anti-aircraft gun. Those are missiles in the back. It's a tiny ballista. It's a Gray Cat ballista.
No, I wanted to.
Tiniest
do
of
this.
ballistas.
Yeah, it's
Why?
cute with a lot of freaking size 1 missiles in it, but you know.
Yeah, I'm seeing it right now. It looks
Yeah.
like one of those snow machines they have out in Antarctica with
Yeah.
the track.
I hate
Oh,
that.
that's cool looking.
We don't need more guns. We have enough guns. Give me something that I'll actually use, because like no one uses the freaking guns on their ship. Why? Because nobody like wants to be in fights. They'll just like log out. It's fine.
Trust me, I wanted it to be some sort of like transport of people, like the rugged, like the military version of the Ursa. But yeah,
There's a good question.
That makes me so upset. Or like just shut up and give us the flatbed.
yeah. Vertigo, your
God,
thoughts?
that makes me so upset.
What are you looking
Oh,
forward
man.
to?
Oh, what am I looking forward to? I don't really look forward to any ships now. I have my fleets kind of.
Or what do you think is going to come out? I should say.
Oh, I really can't. There's not much I can add to
Yeah.
this conversation that we already haven't talked about.
Okay.
I mean, we have the silhouettes from CitizenCon. It's kind of hard idea to make up new ships. I mean, we'll probably get another heavy fighter from some manufacturer out there, maybe Misk or something.
I think
because why not?
I think also we'll see more ships than what they showed off, like vehicles and other things. So, all right. So we've got a lot more questions left. So I'm going to skip a few of them because some of them are like even Lady Space Patrol was like, you were going to have a lot of questions, so I just started asking questions. So these are all good questions, though. The next question is from Lady Space Patrol, who asks, please list all the features they mentioned they did work on since 2023 that we do not have yet in our hands. The three major features that I couldn't explain. Well, actually, there's not that many that I think of. There's a lot of them that aren't finished, but they're but are in our hands. It's scanning, engineering, and hacking. Those are the only three that are specifically big features. Like things like data running, yeah, but that's connected to scanning. I think
like data running is basically just like
it's cargo with
cargo.
Yeah,
it's cargo with scanning.
That's all it is.
You have an invisible cargo grid attached.
People are saying fire is engineering. They're the same thing. Like you don't get engineering without, or you don't get fire without engineering. Engineering is the thing that allows for fire. That's the resource distribution.
Fire is you're losing the fight. Now you're losing even worse.
Yeah. And exploration, scanning. Smuggling, scanning. The economy stuff, that's not really a feature because we already have it in. For those of you who don't know, StarSim is in the game right now, aka Quanta is in the game right now. It's the thing that manages your repair and your refuel costs. It's just not fully implemented in the way that everyone wants it to be. So, a bounty hunting 2.0 is just scanning, engineering, and disabling people. The disabling people is already in the game. It's just not fully implemented. Most of what we have is just like
half-ass implication.
Yeah, that's the issue. Isn't that we don't have it? It's that it's just not finished. The stuff that they've been putting in. So, anybody else want to add to this? Anything else you can think of that we don't have yet?
I think you hit it pretty good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay.
I got distracted because apparently I was supposed to be at work.
Oh, what?
And no one told me.
Oh, okay.
Oops.
You need to leave?
My shift would have been over.
Okay. Yeah.
I missed the entire shift.
Yeah.
Oh my.
No one told you anything? Yeah.
I had it when I put it into my Google Calendar because it's much easier to get to. There was no shift today, and I just got a text, hey, you were supposed to work today.
Aren't you traveling in like a couple of hours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one told me, and I don't know when they went back and added that. I have no idea. That's so great.
And people are saying restraints. Restraints isn't a feature though. Restraints is just additional to what we already have. You can already knock somebody out and drag them around. It's just
like accessories on what we already have. Basically, we have data because that hits like so many things. We have factions are already in game. Economies are already in game. Crafting
already in game. You can craft.
Yeah, no, it is in game because
the multi-tool in the Reclaimer, the Vulture, and the Misfortune.
And you can also craft fuses. So.
Yep.
Yeah. So is building a new thing? Like, is that a new core thing?
It's a newish thing. I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it was in part of it wasn't in part of the Kickstarter. So.
Well, I'm talking about like as far as like fundamentals go. Like most things are in the game. There's just a couple of like core gameplay things.
I guess I missed like building, like base building. You know.
Yeah. So like data and building is basically like after that it's just refinements and additions to what we have.
Yeah. That's the biggest problem with Star Citizen currently. Isn't really that it's not that we don't have things. It's that the things we have aren't fleshed out to where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. And you say problem, but like if it is in the game, that like then is able to be put under the content umbrella, which they said they're not. They're doing a lot of this year, and that's what we were talking about all of last year. Is after 4.0, it's not about feature work; it's about content work.
Yeah, It's about
because we
taking,
have the features.
and they even said that, like, the mission refactor is a priority this year, and combined with a new mission system, which should also tie into Star Sim. Those sorts of things are now the priority. The stuff that we've been complaining about for a long time, the things that people want in the game, are now being more prioritized. So, ship refining, that's true. That's the only other one that I missed was ship refining, but refining is probably more like crafting.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Like Maelstrom, I guess. Maelstrom, atmospheric flight, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. To a degree, I think that's also still all connected to engineering, though, as well. So, because you don't get that sort of dynamic stuff without the engineering.
There are no new features.
No new features. There's three. There's the three big ones that are all connected to it, and those are the ones that need to be done before you can get those other content things you want. So.
1.0 into 1.6.
No.
Add 4 years to that.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Dell asks, how would you like to see CIG introduce Nyx narratively to the game? Example, Save Stanton / Pyro introducing Pyro. Vertigo. Any ideas?
Just unceremoniously just slap the wormhole into the game and just like people just discover it's working one day. I mean, they're not going to do that. They're going to have like big old mission chain that takes everybody there. They're going to rub everyone's faces. They're going to move all the high level PvP equipment in there. Add contested zones all over the place, and like you have to go there now. To make any money.
I would love for them to do a combination of those two. Where like there's the station that's just outside of because we could probably go to the area where the jump point to Nyx is already. I don't know if you can jump to them, but just make it so that like the missions for this event are taking you to that location. So people who don't do the event are just like, yeah, whatever. But like when you go there, it's already there. It's already working. Just be like, surprise!
Yeah, the Nyx gateway is there as a point.
Yeah, so you can just go to the Nyx gateway, and that's the mission. And then when people go to the Nyx gateway, suddenly it's like, that won't happen though, because people like scrape the hell out of the information. So the second that Nyx is put into the game, it will be in like PTU. It will be everywhere. Everyone will know it's in the game. There's no hiding it anymore. So
there'll be no hiding. I also
until CIG starts removing stuff from the from the files, so we can't scrape it.
Right. I wonder like how long it's going to take, because there's no way, unless they are like going to subsidize hard drives, that the entirety of the 100 systems fits on a single hard drive. So something is going to need to be cloud, like the geometry is going to need to be in the cloud and streamed to our clients when we get there.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Flight Sim does it? Yeah, Flight Sim does it. Like it's if you want a local version of Flight Sim, I think it was X, it's like 10 discs.
Ugh.
It is ridiculous because they rendered the entire Earth and like trees and houses and crap. And it's just not something you can do all on one machine easily. So like eventually we're gonna stop downloading star systems, and they're just gonna be when we get there, we get there. But I would love it to be the opposite of Pyro, in that we just like, hey, whoever bad people in Nyx, or I guess bad people is subjective, whatever, attacked Levski, and all they're asking for is like support and mostly cargo. Like, hey, could you bring us food and stuff, metal to rebuild and stuff? And it's just an economy thing.
I would love
instead of a violent thing.
I would love to see an in-game where like you're seeing, kind of remember the message from Xenothreat where it would play on the screens. I'd love to have like an in-game report of like Zalewski is suffering from an attack from Vandul. A Vandul raid has damaged Delamar and Levski, and the People's Alliance is asking for aid, and that, so that people in game would know before they make the announcement that like that's the main mission that they're going to do.
Yeah,
because
that's another thing that's going to go away. That eventually, like, they're going to stop announcing events on the website because they don't know when they're happening.
Yeah,
they're going to be surprised. They're going to be in-game events. Like one thing that I can see, this question's been divided in two. Actually, is based on the whole, okay, there's a lot of stuff involving Nyx, but with Citizens for Prosperity, and the whole pyro thing, they have a chapter in Nyx, like you mentioned, Paul.
Mhm.
So I could see an incursion, them trying to duke it out with the Moraine, introduce it in that angle, like the Citizens for Prosperity are trying to set up a settlement or maybe an outpost, maybe not trying to stir up a fight with the Moraine, just set up a logistics area, but because they know who the big dogs are in Nyx already. And of course, the syndicate of the Moraine are probably not very happy about this. So they brought in, I don't know, the freedom fighters to help them out.
Yeah, the frontier fighters. Yeah.
Frontier fighters to help them out. Yeah. That would be an interesting callback to Pyro. The disgraced frontier fighters have been called in to assist the Moraine, making it, they've absorbed them, which would make it even worse. Because now you got these guys that have a score to settle and people also fighting to protect their territory. I like that angle.
Yeah. I like the idea of every faction mattering, even if it's destroyed. Like, even if we don't get the Frontier Fighters, which I doubt this is the last we'll see the Frontier Fighters. Even if we don't see the Frontier Fighters anymore, like having this story of like them scattering to the winds and going to different places. Because that's more of the, when you start building a story like the Star Citizen story that Star Citizen's trying to accomplish, you're going to have a lot of threads. There's just going to be threads everywhere where people can go to different things. And those sorts of things make more fun, especially if it's dynamically changing, where like CIG wants to tell a story and the story changes, so now we're going to focus on this and that kind of stuff. But what happened to the Ninetales? They still around. They're still kicking.
Standing.
Yeah.
They still exist.
What happened? They don't they own Grimhex?
Yes, they own Grimhex. I would love for them to redo Grimhex with the Ninetales themes, like so we can actually see the Ninetales in
and that's where the punk cat can go.
I've made the argument when they redo Grimhex, they need to put a contested zone in it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you guys want to fight over this dimly lit junk heap? Put in a contested zone for a good reason and make it a good prize.
Yeah. Or what I would like to see is some straight up Thunderdome stuff. Some
oh yeah.
Some
there you go.
Some underground
boxing
fighting
matches,
ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
there was a boxing ring in the prison,
or like a good gladiatorial arena. Where you sign up to go fight a bunch of people in a combat zone, and you look up around you and there's cheering people like, yeah, kill him, kind of thing. That's very Pyro or Grimhex. I'd love to see that, that sort of thing.
In a fight club, this is Death Club. Nobody talks about Death Club because you're dead.
Well, you regen. That would be another example of like a great a narrative push of regen. It's like people are just doing.
That's always the plan.
Death. Regen is because regen you have you can just die over and over again, and for the pleasure of bloodthirsty crowds.
Yeah. Oh man, it'd be funny if they just had like 2 regen beds like right there on the court.
On the court, you just get back up, get your stuff, and keep going.
Oh, God,
that would be some dystopian level shit. I'd be here for it.
Oh my gosh, perfect.
Give them physical weapons to bludgeon each other too.
I would also like that. Give melee weapon and Star Citizen would be
sword
fantastic.
plan. Let's have swords.
All right, Lady Space Patrol asks, CSG said that they don't have plans for us to build on the side of asteroids currently. Given that, how, if at all, do you envision base building interacting with Nyx? There are 2 planets that are rocky planets and a gas giant. Right. So the 2 planets.
I hope someday we get cloud-based building, but
I'm going to argue that the outer planet might have moons because it's a gas giant.
Yeah, so we could have moons around the gas giant. Makes sense. Yeah.
But that's the only big change I would say they would ever do to Nyx. Nyx has always been intended to be a mostly empty, sparsely populated system.
Yeah, Pyro. Well, yeah, they changed how Pyro worked out.
They did, but I don't think
because they had to have more content in Pyro.
Because
Pyro couldn't just blast its system; nobody would listen either.
It was the second system they were going to make,
And so I could
We're still
So-
going to see stuff like the asteroid bases that we have in Pyro will probably be in Nyx as well. And from what we know from narratively speaking, it's the conflict between, say, the Moraine and the People's Alliance is a lot more because they don't actually hate each other. They both fundamentally agree with each other. It's just the Moraine is sort of a cult. It's a mafia. It's like if the mafia was overtly political. You know, like if the mafia was run by Che Guevara, that kind of thing. It's so like, whereas the People's Alliance is more like everyone can have an opinion, man. Everyone's free to express their opinions, man. We need to overthrow the government, but you know, let's not freedom of speech, man. Like the joke that I
They
used
want
to
to
make.
overthrow it. I thought they were just like, "Hey,
Oh.
leave us alone."
Oh no, they actively want to overthrow the government. Like,
Oh, okay.
They hate the government.
I thought they just wanted to live outside of it, and the government's like, "Hey, no."
Yeah. The joke about the Moraine is that they're the main characters from the Fast and the Furious franchise. That's what they are. They're Dominic and his
For
family.
the family.
Yeah, we're family. You're here with your family. Olive Garden. All right. Moving on. Walter Hawk asks,
Mhm.
how do you guys feel about the bug fixing this year? Also, any word on the actual transit refactor yet, as not the small fixes for 4.0.2 delivers?
I mean, I'm hopeful.
They're hopeful.
Smoking that hopium.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a long year, but hopefully by the end of it, like, not even by the end of it. Hopefully by the end of the year, not Susan Kong, because they canceled that, right?
We don't know. They haven't.
Oh,
said
okay.
it.
I heard it was canceled. Okay,
I
so hopefully by
have-
the end of the year, whatever happens.
The people I have inside CIG have also indicated that it is canceled. So to me, but
Okay.
that has not been.
By
decided
not
as far as I
Susan Kong
know.
this year. I would imagine they were tying up loose ends in the bug fixing war, in the bug war. Why is everyone doing bug wars? It's just such a theme. Space equals bug wars.
Yeah, I mean, you got Helldivers, you got Starship Troopers, and Space Marine 2, all with bugs.
And now Star Citizen and CIG and Star Citizen, where the bugs are in the code.
Yeah.
But no, hopefully by the end of the year, they are wrangling the last few. By Q2 to 3, they are deep in it, getting the really good one or the really hard ones out. Because like they are doing some deep work on 402. 402, I was not expecting them to like really dig in
The
that much. I
UI
thought it
has
was just gonna
totally
be
changed. Like,
they've done a lot of work, especially like if you look at some of the bug fixes they're getting. Like, geez, like they right out the gate, like they are fixing the quantum drive ending at the border, the server border. Like I did not expect them to tackle that so soon. But they got all new error prompts. They have they're working on the healing code for the transit system, so it will, when it does break down, repair itself just by it existing.
Don't believe it when I see it.
Yeah. But I mean, like they're working on it, which is better than before when they were just like, we'll get to it when we get to it, you know. So, ooh, that's a good question. This is not a leak by any means, but it is I guess it is a leak. Someone asked, will Squadron 42 be available for consoles on launch?
They'd be dumb not to.
They've done it before.
I have
Roberts.
I have some hot juicy piece of information. I've already said this a little bit, but so it's not like brand new. I've said this on other streams, but from what I've heard inside CIG, no, Squadron 42 is a PC only at release, and there are some additional things that I've heard about its PC release that is going to make a lot of people happy about how they're going to release it and where they're going to release it.
Is it ever coming to consoles?
There is no discussion on that as far as I know.
Potentially.
Wow. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, at least you can play it on Steam Deck.
Yeah. So people have been, I've said that I'm not going to talk about the other stuff about Squadron 42 until March because I wanted to give CIG enough time to actually make the announcement on their own. And if they decide not to, then cool. I'll be the guy everyone quotes about the leaks of what's going to happen with Squadron. But yeah,
Wow, I'm kind of sad it's not releasing on consoles. Like I kind of want it to be everywhere on everything.
Yeah, I understand why not, because for those of you who don't know how console ports work, you usually need a dedicated team. Like a good example, Rockstar. Rockstar is working on GTA 6, but I guarantee you that at least some of that huge team they have working on GTA 6, probably some of their satellite studios, are only working on the ports, are only working on making it work for PlayStation and making it work for Xbox. Working for the PS5 and the PS and the Xbox S,
Nintendo, whatever.
Yeah, is it coming out for Nintendo? It might be. The Switch 2
Switch
or whatever.
It
I
depends on.
I
the
don't
requirements.
think so.
Oh my
Somebody
God.
said if they don't put it on consoles, they lose market share. In the scale of Star Citizen Squadron 42 kind of game, it can live and die on PC. Like the amount that they're going to get. Like, yes, technically there's an amount of people in the world that do not have a PC that can play Squadron 42. But it most likely will run poorly on Xbox One and PS4 or PS5s, which means it will already require you to buy a new console, which means that's another dent for several years that like the communities for those consoles will be rather small. Like I don't think consoles are as big as you could have this many players. I think it's 400. I forget what the numbers were. 4 million?
4 million?
Something like that.
So
Xbox and PlayStation, I think they're both like 4 million players.
So I think console is definitely something they'll do in the future, because every Chris Roberts Wing Commander game ended up going on console at some point.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of timing and effort. They need to have a team who does console ports, either outsourcing it or whatever. And Chris Roberts, he's a lot of things, but for somehow Chris Roberts has also been very good at doing business deals with Star Citizen. Every deal that Chris Roberts has done with businesses has actively helped CIG, often to the detriment of the people they did business with. Like Cytec completely collapsed after they made a deal with CIG. I've heard nothing about the FOIP technology, which is developed not by CIG but developed by Faceware, which I don't think is a company anymore after they did it.
I could look here.
Did
they hire all their devs to make the latest updates?
Faceware Technologies, they have a website up that's
they're a business level company. They do a lot of motion cap for like studios and that kind of thing. The Faceware was their like consumer expansion.
Faceware Technologies is a facial animation motion capture development company in America. So they do mocap like digital stuff. Shows. So it was like a cool little side project that they put into like video games to make more money.
Okay, so with quick dirty math, PS5 has sold 59.2 million, and it says that about 43% of that is monthly active users, which runs to about 25.5 million active users per month.
Yeah. So I think there is definitely a case for releasing Squadron 42 on consoles, but it needs to release well, and it needs to release not half-assed, and they have no indication that they've actually done any sort of console optimization for Star Citizen. They say you can play it on a console controller, and I know people who do, just for fun, play it on a controller. It is entirely possible to play Star Citizen on a controller. It's just you have to double up buttons and other things like that. But everything they've done to make the game easier to use, like things like master modes or what were they called? Where you can switch between the different versions.
Operator
modes. Yeah,
that's what they're calling it now.
Yeah, operator modes. All of those are all going to help simplify the game to make it easier for people to play, but it also means that you can map it on a controller easier. So you can swap between like scanning and mining and salvage and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that was just sort of a off question. But the next question comes from from Lady Space Patrol, who asks, for Elliot's benefit, please provide some suggestions on how non-combat missions could exist in the future events like Save Stanley and Fight for Pyro. I think Stanton, but
Stanley.
I will give you the spiel that I've always given about this, which is a resource rush. Where you have a asteroid which is moving through the system, and it is filled with resources, and you get that information. Everyone rushes out to get those resources and claim it and pull it out, and then come back. And you can make it maybe a cometary or like a series of asteroids which are moving through the system. Extrasolar asteroids that are moving through.
And
it still leads to combat. But it's still it's still a mainly focused on resource gathering mission.
The mission doesn't say go do combat. It is combat available, but not combat
oriented.
What's the word? Like, it doesn't recommend combat.
Stealth missions.
Yeah.
Oh, stealth would be good.
I'd love some good stealth.
Cue Metal Gear Solid music.
What's another good
Hitman
one?
music?
Relief aid. A pandemic outbreak on a planet. You lock down Area 18 or lock down Lorville, and the whole thing is to bring in relief aid. And you can even have different types of relief. You could either be bringing in relief aid to help out with the pandemic that's going on, or you could be smuggling things out of there. So like you have to go pick up these specific resources, like people who want to escape.
That'd be so cool. Okay. Like a pandemic whole like event chain where like Area 18 locks down, and like the on the face mission is, hey, bring these guys like medical supplies and their daily like needs so they can get into the zone. But like there's a subtle mission which you have to have through a mission giver, so it's not broadcast, to smuggle people out. And there's a chance, given Star Sim, there's a chance that when you smuggle someone out, the pandemic spreads with them.
That'd be cool.
And so they lock down another place.
Well, you could also just do a bespoke, like they already have those sort of pods, cryopods. You could also do it as a bring in medical supplies and take people who are sick in these pods away to a specialist facility. So like, so you're basically transporting sick patients, but you're not actually seeing the sick patients because they're stuck in their cryopods. They're cryogenically frozen to suspend them so that the plague doesn't go through them. And then you can take that with you,
Somebody mentioned. Sorry. Somebody also mentioned another like neutral combat one. Well, there's still combat at risk for the data you're hunting. Hunting for jump points. When we get the ability to look for transient or alternate jump point openings,
I don't think they'll be popular enough to have a mission for them.
Oh, there's a cartographic office in
Yeah, but to like have a mission on the book saying, I want you to go find a jump point, that could take you hours, like days. Transient jump points are going to be like 1 in a million shot.
They might give you a specific region to look. Not an exact.
So for what 90s underscore. I don't know how many that is. So jump point to where transient jump points are from a system, from a random point in a system to another random point in another system.
You got to think of them like rivers, which are the main
thing is they collapse randomly as well.
The main river of transporting from system to system is the jump point, and these transient jump points are like tributaries. They're like the little tiny tributaries that can be created off of like the Mississippi during a heavy rainstorm, where like these tiny little inlets jump out and come back to the main branch, but they might go out a little bit off the bank, like jump the bank and go in some place, and then it'll get a little warmer, and then it'll dry up, and then another place will like have a diversion over that way, and so they all go. The transit jump points go to the same place. If you start in Stanton, you can go to Pyro, but you can lead you back into the main branch, or it can lead you to another tributary where you can go off this other side, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Basically, they're like the delta of the Mississippi River.
Yes.
At flood stage, if you've ever been to Louisiana, where the Mississippi is, there are hundreds of sub rivers that branch off the main Mississippi River. And during floods, the river changes its course. It meanders, it moves. Even the elevation it enters the ocean will change. So it's very similar to what Paul's talking about, because the main trunk of the jump point probably is not in the system in this case, but the tributaries, the little offshoots, do. And they meander occasionally when enough, whatever it is that activates a jump point, opens up a void in space to connect them to the position in the, within the random position they open.
Yeah.
And they could probably be hundreds of kilometers apart each time.
And to round off the question a bit, like anything players do could be a mission. Go repair a ship, go salvage a ship, which we have. Go mine X amount of resources, go grab cargo, move here. Anything that players do. Refueling could be a thing. Go loot amount of guns for a specific purpose, for a specific person. So go find something, I guess. Fetch quests. We have fetch quests kind of for creature parts. Anything players do can be a mission, even if it's like just going to places. Like we don't have any of those for some reason. There should be really simple. Go to location. I know they're like dumb quests, but like it's something. It's there.
So I'm going to do something. So because we've been streaming, I've been recording for about an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And we still have a ton more time, ton more stuff. I've stopped the questions for now. So what I figure we'll do is we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to stop the recording, and then we're going to do a part 2. And then I still have 2 videos to release for the Captain's Table podcast video.
Nice.
And we can use the time to use the restroom, everything like that. So thank you for watching thus far. If you all have watched this recorded, thank you to Axis, Naz, and HV Vertical for coming talking with us. If you enjoyed this, we do this live on Saturdays at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, and then starting next week, youtube.com/@TheCaptain'sTablePodcast, where you can come join us and ask your questions and join the conversations as it is. If you've enjoyed this so far, if you're watching this after the fact, hit that follow button on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the like and the bell icon, and of course I want to hear your comments down below on any of the things we've discussed. We'll take a few breaks, a few minutes, we'll be right back. But like I always say, hope to see you someday in the black. Oh, I hit the wrong. My stream deck messed up again. There we go. We'll be right back, chat. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. This is this part 2 of our just questions session, the After Dark. So if you missed any of the discussions we want to have, go ahead and watch it beforehand. But I am joined by Axis0096, Naz, and HC Vertigo. Make sure to check out Axis0096 on Axis0096 on Twitch. HC Vertigo with HC Vertigo on Twitch, and Naz at the Nova Forge on YouTube and Twitch, right?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. With that being said, let's pick it right back up and continue with some of these questions. So these are questions asked by the community specifically that we're going to answer. We've been answering a bunch of them. We've got a handful left. It's probably going to be about another hour or so, but we'll see. Shimpasta asked, are you mad taking questions from live trolling chat? No.
No.
Always. That's anyway.
Then Shimpasta follows up. Do you feel that CIG was planning on spending this whole year fixing the game, breaking bugs, or was it influenced by the community big streamers? I don't think streamers had as much to do with it as people think. A streamer has a voice, but typically a streamer's voice isn't too far off from what their community thinks. And I have a fairly dedicated community. I'll say that. We're not huge, but I don't think anyone in my community is 100% agrees with me all the time about everything I say. Right?
No.
I don't agree.
And and so as a result, I think people often overestimate streamers. I don't think CIG, and I've talked with CIG about this, they don't seem to put a lot of stock in any kind of streamer commentary. They'll respond to streamers because they know that streamers have influence, but no, I think it was mostly twofold. One, the community was clearly needing something to fix.
I mean, like, I was reading Spectrum every so often.
Yeah.
For the past few months, and it was just everyone was just mad about how bad things were for around 4.0.
I mean, when you spend 10 years with the loudest subject in the community being fix the game, eventually they're gonna fix the game. They just got it just reached a point where the amount of players, especially the new players of last year, I've seen the graph, it's stupid how many players came in last year.
Since 2020, the majority of the player base has come in since 2020. It's not even the people like us who have all been around since before 2020 are a minority in the community, you know? And as Jin was saying, the other thing that the reason why I think it is because they've got their base tech in. All their base tech is done. Now is the time to sit there and go, let's harden this and fix this problem. I was a little concerned that they were going to be doing too much fixes and then that they were just going to add something new and then break everything, because that's why you don't do that. But people like Jan and other people who've been in the industry a little bit longer, who've been in the industry much longer than I have even followed the industry, all seem to agree that this is a good time. This seems like it would be a good time to harden, not necessarily optimize, harden the base. Get your base structures, which are already broken, address those tech debts, fix those issues, which you're not going to replace. They're not replacing missions. The missions that are in the game are going to be the missions that are in the game. They're just changing how the background system functions. All of the stuff that's in the game now that doesn't work, they want to fix it to the degree where it's fixed, and then add in the things that they need to fix that are not quite there yet, like the transit system. So yeah.
And the few early access stuff that I've been a part of, and from what I know about building games, normally it's not an abnormal thing for developers to say, hey, we're just going to take a break for a minute and work on the crap we have in game because it's being hard even on developers to get anything moving. So we need to kind of take a break, fix some stuff up, and then continue rolling. Because the environment, they need the data for us doing the things, and they need the environment in the game, in the developer side too, to actually be able to hey, we're going to put this in. Does it work? I don't know. I can't open the hangar.
Yeah. And anybody who's been following this community for long enough would have told you that 4.0 was going to be a disaster. I remember hearing people 4.0 has to be perfect. It's no, it's never going to be perfect. It was always going to release in a kind of a bad state because it's a brand new technology, and that's going to cause some weird side effects as a result.
Yeah, it was much less of a dumpster fire than I think any of us imagined.
Yeah. Oh, Jin is asking if I was going to voice my fear was that by optimizing the game now rather than waiting till later when they added a new feature in, it would break the game. That was my fear, is that it would break the game because it was like, oh, cool, we spent all this time making the game really good. Now we're going to add in engineering, and now everything's broken again. And so it's like all of that work was for nothing other than just to make some people stop complaining on Spectrum, and they'll still complain on Spectrum because they're addicted to complaining on Spectrum. That was my fear, but other people seem to believe that, no, this is different from just pure optimization. This is just fixing the things that are tech debt, the issues that no longer are they new features. They're features that have been in a while, but they haven't addressed the problems with them. So, yeah.
And then they ended up fixing stuff that wasn't broken.
What do you think, Vertigo? Do you think that the planning and
are you think Vertigo? Yes.
Are you think Vert? Do you feel that CIG was planning on spending this whole year fixing the game and breaking bugs, or was it influenced by the community?
I think it was influenced by the community. I think they see their daily active users. They see the comments on their YouTube channel. I see the comments on their YouTube channels. I see the comments on their live stream. I think they're tired of eating a ration of shit from their community, and they want to finally, after getting this big push done for 4.0 out the door, like finally we don't have any big disruptive pieces of technology down the road that we're gonna have to like bend the game over to fit. So now we can start actually taking care of some of these issues, making the game play better, getting not quality of life, but getting really the pain points, the pinch points fixed. The transit system that was supposed to come with 4.0 that they pushed off. Now they can start working on that, getting that work refactor more reliable. So you can actually start playing Star Citizen without having to worry about falling through planets and what invisible what are the elevator doors. Elevator door opens and there's no carriage. It's just black.
Axis, what do you think? Do you think that CIG was planning on doing this all along, or is this influeed by the community?
I don't think they were planning on doing this year or even as much of this month as they thought. I think they had a surprise discovery moment where they were looking at the back end code and they're like, oh my God. Like, holy cow, because there's no way, it's this bad. And then they're like, oh yeah, it is this bad. And now we're having to be fixing things. But of course, yes, I think the community has been harping at them for a while. Even in my videos, there are folks that voice the opinion of, it needs some polishing, it needs some cleaning up of the bugs. And I agree with them, a lot of them. Definitely, because falling through the planet gets old. Getting eaten by the void elevators gets old. Gets old crashing into closed elevator roofs that are supposed to be open but are not, and missions that don't work. The list goes on and on. So I totally understand the community's issues with the current state of the game, but at the same time they need to also be, like some of the people in the current chat are saying, they need to not overlook putting in occasional new content to keep the community interested, because Frontier Development tried to go down this path very recently. Yeah. I'm going to argue
with Odyssey,
with reducing stuff going on in game. And even though it's related to something different, their numbers dropped a lot.
Okay.
And yeah.
I get what you're saying. All right.
Just an opinion. I mean, it is different between the Elite and Star Citizen, but yeah.
That was the question. Was our opinion, our feel? So Dell asks, how do you expect the Karens, I mean the CFP, to interact with the People's Alliance of Levski? That seemed like an explosive combo between pro-UEE and anti-UEE elements. I think we'll see some... I've always said that Nyx always feels like a clandestine system. The system is
Bunch of hippies living there, if you ask me.
Yeah, but it's
communists.
Yeah.
Did I miss some like read up about CFP that I just like?
Yeah, our
an
CFP is
entirely new look?
we called Karens for Prosperity, like on my channel.
Yeah. Okay, let me explain. If you went into someone's, so if someone was living in a dumpster and it was their dumpster and you went to that dumpster and tried to clean out the dumpster, would the person who lives in that dumpster be mad at you?
Probably.
Yeah.
So, Pyro is a dumpster, but people have lived there for 600 years. The CFP is coming in and saying, you know, we'll get the non-aligned people with the stuff, and we want to make sure that we're gonna bring the Pyro into the UEE through getting all these unaligned people and then making it safe for corporations and the government to come in and exploit the resources.
I thought the lore was that they were descendants of. They have been there.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. They came in. They're the founder is from Hurston. She was a Hurston accountant.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
I don't care where their money comes from as long as it's being put to good, which is not use. Like you can exploit companies to your heart's desire. That is the best way to use a company. If they want to, if they want to like fund whatever to buy goodwill, they can throw as much money as they want at anything.
Tumblr guide is basically explaining it's like the CFP is bringing supplies to people who are already there, specifically the peaceful people. They're trying to organize the people who are not in gangs to back each other up, but they are bringing in their own people to help control and take over and settle these areas. It's kind of like, I mean, it's like old school imperialism. Come in, take the area, get locals to help you out, and then exploit the resources for the benefit of the host nation. It's just the East India Trading Company with extra steps. But does that mean that CFP is evil? No, it doesn't mean they're evil at all. In fact, they're probably helping a lot of folks out. And that's the whole point of the Star Citizen narrative. Is it's
I think unfortunately I'm still going to align with CFP because like.
Yeah.
I am a CEO of an org, and I much rather have business availability in Pyro.
So like as a result, they are the good guys. The good guys are kicking people out of homes that they've already had. Does that mean that the people who are there are good? Obviously not. They're freaking pirates. they're slavers and smugglers. They're not good people, but it's also been their home for
everyone there years. Has no legal right to the land they walk on, so it's not kicking them out of their home.
You don't have a flag. No flag, not illegal. So
the will of the empire.
Yeah, it's like basically the CFP are coming in to tame the savages, and it's not always a good way of looking at things, but it's the way the CIG is writing these sorts of narratives is designed around that idea where there is no one person who is right or wrong. There are going to be people who have their agendas, and those agendas are going to be not always intersect with what people believe. You're going to have to pick the best of a bad decision. Manifest Destiny being there first and longer doesn't mean it's theirs. Yeah, that kind of idea.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Nyx, for instance, Nyx is a lot more. They
have a flag.
They have a flag. And so I think that, but because they don't like the UE and the CFP do, I think we're going to see tense negotiation. We'll see both sides be very cordial to one another, but then send operatives to the other's base and sabotage it under the guise of like not being of being like we need to stop their movements here and there kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
Nix has always been that sort of, in my mind, the way that they've kind of built it out has always been this sort of, the idea is more clandestine operations because of that dark nebula that makes up most of the system makes it hard for you to be able to see anything. So it's the whole sort of, Cold War spy espionage or, like subtle gang war between people, that kind of stuff. So
I would like it to be not so. If they do conflict, they don't conflict overtly violently.
Mhm.
And like you said, it's more like inside operations, sending like single operatives to go in quietly and mess up stuff, like take out a shipping thing here and there and whatnot.
knock out
But like on the face of it, they're like they each have like a little office in each other's home. It's like, yeah, we're both like frontiersmen.
Yeah, we want peace and prosperity for our systems, CFP have no business, but Nix, they're pyro focused. They were, but now they're called the Citizens of Prosperity because the UEE, many people have taken their model and been like, hey, let's just do this in the future.
Yeah, so. They are now all over the frontier system. If there's a frontier system to be inhabited, they are there.
Yeah,
overtly to help out and create a logistic backbone.
Yeah, so that's a CIG-ism for, they want to make as few factions as possible that they can copy as many ways around, or as many possible ways to simplify the faction conflict, and so they don't have to make 17,000 unique outfits for every single like system. So
that's one thing I really hate. The CFP has terrible clothing. Like
it'll get better. I think
uniform looks.
What we have right now is pretty basic. I think they'll expand as they go. So
hopefully they get like unified armor because like, geez, they look so bad.
All right,
like everyone else has better armor. Sorry.
Shapasta asks, regarding server maintenance, instead of the maintenance that would happen in non-alpha/beta game, would it be better for CIG to let the servers degrade to see what bugs pop up? Once the threshold is hit, auto start anew, and then move on to move all of the players to it. Vertigo, what do you think?
I mean, like, if you have enough people playing, you're gonna see all the major pain points come up pretty quickly on the issue console, and then you can squash those pain points, and then just let the servers keep running, right? And then more pain points will come up the longer the servers keep running, and you can squash those, and then the servers will keep running longer and longer and longer until you have like a weekly maintenance cycle come up that just kind of solves all these. That's what I think CIG is trying to do, is like they're gonna look at the issue council, say, okay, we got the elevator problems, we got people falling through floors, these are affecting the quality of gameplay right now. Let's focus on getting these patched out, and then we'll do server maintenance. We've solved these bugs. They don't show, but the amount of reports we're getting for these bugs that we've patched have gone to almost zero, and so we must have fixed these. So we'll keep looking at the issue council, see what else comes up, and wash, rinse, and repeat. I'm assuming that's what they're going to be doing.
Yeah. Okay. Axis, what do you think? Do you think it's better? I'll read it one more time so we can get the idea. Do you think it's better that CIG let servers degrade to see what bugs pop up, but once there's a threshold that's hit, they auto start a new one and move all players to it?
Isn't that kind of what we're doing right now, though?
Sort of.
To a degree. I mean, we are not having as many wipes, and we're letting code errors build up. Sorry.
Let's go.
Nose is kind of itching.
I know that.
But we're not doing like immediate wipes when one problem crops up. We're doing it every time there's a new patch or something, or were prior to the beginning of this year. Now we've entered a maintenance cycle thing, so something drastically must have changed to warrant that. And I'm just going to assume.
I'll say this, like the idea that they're just going to let things die over time. That's already what they've been doing, and it's clearly not working. I think them building up a system where like there's some sort of threshold of bugs being problematic and then restarting it, I think that kind of defeats the purpose. I think it's the ultimate goal is like once the performance is degraded to a certain point, they just spin down the server and spin up a new server. The problem is that like that was sort of the mentality they were having with server. What is it? The recovery cycle, like where like if your server would be down, you'd like, okay, please wait, we're gonna spin up a new server, and then go. The problem was just that you'd have a death spiral where you have a pause. Okay, we're spinning up a new server in the background, and then the same bug that caused that server to crash ends up in the new server and it causes it to crash because it's the same issues. So, Nasus, what do you think? Do you think CIG should let the servers just sort of die and then, or build it up until a certain number of bugs and then reset it?
I mean, my opinion kind of falls in between all things said so far. Like, they do let the servers go for a little while, and they'll figure out the bugs that are there, and they'll watch the issue council. But when it gets to a point, and like the servers do this on their own, they'll just die, and so they collect data from that. Like, they're not artificially propping up servers to let them degrade. And when a server needs to be rebooted, it is rebooted. I don't know how much like hands-on people they have spinning up and down servers. Like, it is mostly automated. But like they do what they need to have the game. I'm confused on like what would be the point in purposefully keeping up a server that people are just going to either Alt F4 out of or go back to menu to pick one that actually works.
Yeah.
Like, there's very few people out of Evocati, out of PTO Wave 1 and 2 that are actually there to like test the game. Most people in live are there to play the game. And if it's a bad server, they'll hop servers.
All right. Next question comes from Shimpasta, who asks, seeing Vert's spiffy flannel shirt reminds me of suit lockers. Do you think we'll get any form of base building this year? No.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah.
So apparently I was on record saying it was in 4.1.
I said I thought it was going to come out sooner too, but that was before they made the big announcement of like, oh yeah, we're going to focus on this, and then when they defined what they're focusing on with like base with fixing, they defined we're pulling people off of features that are being worked on, and to help them fix back end features. I was like, all right, cool, then that's slow. And if CIG is slowing, then I thought that base building would come in at a squeaky bum at the very end of the year, and now that they're pulling people off of it entirely, I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
I don't know. I don't think when I made that prediction that that'd be a great preview channel. I would not play the actual game. I think when I made the prediction, I didn't think that they'd do the entire vertical slice of it. Not vertical slice, but do all the sizes of it. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure they said like they're going to be doing all sizes the first release will have the small, medium, large, extra large building in it.
Yeah.
So that requires the FM, the build, and the Pioneer being done.
Well, they did say that the Pioneer wouldn't be available when base building was first released. That's one thing they did say.
Okay, so it's at least two vehicles though that have to be done at the same time.
The BLD is for sure going to be in there when it releases. So
yeah, and FM is just a color swap and a module in the back. And we already have the little cart thing, so that's done. So like it could be. I remember them saying all sizes would be in the first release. I remember them saying something about a vertical slice of all of it. I might be wrong. Two vehicles and a hover cart, yeah. But I remember them saying like features were going to come in more vertical slicey instead of piecemeal.
All right. Because I think the rest of us already answered just like no. Axis 0096 asks, I guess this is for us three. What weapons do you still are still being worked on? Are we most excited for? Axis just wants me to talk about the Titan suit gun that me and Axis thinks is there. For those who don't know,
does it work as a tractor beam?
One of those preview.
The concept art.
Not even concept art. It's like remember they were like doing like the meet the team, and it was the sort of FPS team or the design team. I don't know who they were, but there was that.
Yeah.
You know, one of them who used to work for X on the X series. You know, One of those guns that they were showing off looked like it was a Gatling gun, but it looked far too big to be a handheld Gatling gun.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I looked up and I remembered that, oh right, they actually showed off a Titan suit weapon, and pairing it up, it was like this is a Titan suit weapon. This looks like it could be a Titan suit weapon.
But isn't a Titan suit just a size 1 port?
No,
Which means it could go on
no,
anything?
you carry it.
They could create like bespoke weapons for the Titan suit. I remember one of the reasons why they said a Titan suit wasn't being developed is because they couldn't figure out how to get the guns to work, because even the size 1 guns are like 2 meters long, I think.
Mhm.
And if you put one of those in the hands, you pull your hand out into like a pose where you could actually shoot the gun, you'd have this massive hunk of metal hanging out in front of you and be very awkward to use inside of a level.
Mhm. It was also they wanted to make sure that you could actually walk around in a suit and on the stations and other places you could go into. So
Wild.
yeah. Well, I mean, they also developed it for Squadron, because we know all of the Titan suit stuff we've seen is referencing Squadron 42, which is why I believe the ATLS was originally built for Squadron, and then they brought it into Star Citizen, because it was probably just some background prop on the station you'd see walking around as an aliens reference, and they just said, let's make it functional and put it in the game, so. But it probably uses the same sort of technology that you'd see with the Titan
ATLS?
suits. Yeah. So it's probably going to move similar to the ATLS, that sort of thing. What do you think, Naz? Is there any guns you're looking forward to?
My favorite series of guns that I've never touched but seen so much about, the Volt series.
Mm-hmm. That's coming out soon.
Like, not only is it like what they use for the crafting reference, we also saw like in the audio team the giant beam weapon. And the blue, like I love the art of it. I love the art. Looks like something from Destiny. That's not why I love it, but I like the guns that looked like that from Destiny. There we go. You have the Preacher, the taser, the crossbow, which I think is really relevant now we have animals.
Fucking dumbest crossbow.
Swords, obviously, which I'm pretty sure was also in that thing.
Yeah, they showed off a bunch of
swords.
Some of them bludgeoning, it looked like.
Let's see. Weapons still being worked like as odd as it sounds, I'm excited for all of their weapons. Especially now that they're quote unquote done with the normal like standard ones, they said. They were trying to get all the standard ones in, then they'll be doing something more exploratory. Here we are.
Yep.
Like, because the weapon team is the weapon team, they're not doing anything else. They're not gonna work on anything else that I care about. Like, except for maybe like farming tools, but like it's not really how we're gonna be farming. It's all like through base building stuff. Like the weapon team can just keep making cool weapons. Like all the weapons I'm pretty excited for.
Vertigo? Any weapons specific you're looking forward to?
Not really. Like, they have a large enough base of weapons right now. They all feel really samey. Kind of You got the DMRs, you got the sniper rifles, you got the assault rifles, you got the SMG, you got the shotgun. So I don't think Star Citizen can be made better by adding more guns right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not looking forward to the swords. I'm not looking forward to the crossbow. I'm not looking forward to the tasers. Even if it's a katana, I'm not looking forward to it. It could be like a laser katana.
I will run with a cutlass before I run with the katana.
All right.
They're gonna put a katana in for the weebs, I guarantee.
No.
Oh, 100%.
Didn't they show off a katana for like one of the
They might have.
No, they did for it was like with one of the bounty hunters they invented recently. The guy who's Mission Complete Burrito Eat. They had like a brief.
Oh yeah,
flash
he had
of him
two katanas he was wielding.
Two katanas. Very briefly showed off in an advert a while ago, and people were losing their goddamn minds in the community. I almost said katana-ty.
Listen,
people were losing their minds, like, oh my god, katanas! Like, there are so many weeaboos out there that love that sword. It's dumb.
Star Citizen
it is dumb. They are terrible swords.
Star Citizen is a cyberpunk game. As much as people don't want to admit it, it is a cyberpunk game. And if it's a cyberpunk game, then it's
gonna have
going to have a katanas.
As long as the katanas are made from objectively inferior materials, they can be in the game.
All right.
You mean Drake?
No, Drake makes their holes sparse, but out of good material. Katanas, historically, are inferior materials passed off with historic value.
It's
every time.
Oh yeah, no. Japanese iron is garbage. Japanese iron is hot dog shit, and they've known it for years. It's one of the reasons why they invaded other countries. It's just
like
that's one of the reasons why they had to like invent the folding technique, was because their iron was just breaking shit all the time. It just wasn't good quality.
And people always like, well, why are so many katanas around? Because the Europeans made so many swords, they did not care because they just go get a new sword.
Yeah.
So they're like in ditches and crap, and they're still there.
Soft on the inside, hard on the outside. Yeah. Pig iron that's folded to get high enough to quality steel effectively.
Yeah. They had to like that's how you remove from wrought iron. Iron is you have to keep folding it on itself, and every time you fold it, you lose some of the impurities.
Mm-hmm.
The iron gets more and more pure to a point. The more pure ore the better the ore you start with, the better the end result's going to be. That's why European iron was better, because Europeans had better quality ore than the Japanese.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why the Japanese struggled during World War II, was because their local domestic iron was really bad. And so
Japan was not a very resource-rich nation.
Yeah. Oil was
their
scarce.
geography roulette was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why they invaded Korea. It's one of the reasons why they invaded China, and it declared war on the United States, was because they're just resources. The actual amount of resources they had was far too small for the population they had, and so they needed to expand out just to support their population as it was growing, on top of their industrial appetite, because they had become rapidly industrialized. So that's a completely different thing, but to tie this back in, I hope that is sort of tied back into Star Citizen, because we will have low quality material that you can use to produce things as well. So
low quality, mid quality, shit quality,
Yeah, you guys are destroying my weeaboo reality. Samurai swords and nakadashis, or whatever they're called, they're different. They're different katanas and all the different types.
They're sharpened metal sticks you used to hit people with. Get over it.
They're fine. They're fine, but like, they're not the best swords that have ever been made, y'all. Like,
the best animes either have guns or magic in them. So
yeah, exactly. Or
use something better.
Or magical guns.
Or magical
American magic.
Yeah.
American.
A sword.
Anime takes gunplay to a whole new level.
A sword which turns into a gun, but it's all powered by magic. Okay.
Hold on. Have you guys seen Equilibrium?
Yes.
I've not.
Gun katana, gun kata, which is basically gun kung fu.
Yes. Guntana, or whatever it is. Yeah. Gun fu is what it's called.
They use calculus to figure out the most optimal like shooting positions in a firefight to make a version of kung fu with guns.
Wasn't it released like a year before Matrix? It's very similar to the Matrix. Yeah,
it's very similar to the Matrix, and it is probably one of the dumbest movies I've ever seen. But I bought it and I own it, and it's one of those movies you watch drunk with friends, and it's just you just riff on it the entire time, because it's so bad it's good.
Yeah,
Speaking of, they need a chainsaw for the Titan suit.
Chainsaw, sir. You mean chain sword?
Ripper from Gears of War.
I'm a pleb. It's a chainsaw.
Vibroblade. Let's go. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Go.
Oh, nano machines, son. All right. So Escape asks, do you feel balancing this time at this time be easier nerfing the top or buffing the bottom for balance?
It would require us to have a meta.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Other than just like this piece of equipment is just objectively best. Use this.
It's hard to balance when all the features aren't in yet. Like a ship is good now will probably not be good when engineering comes in, and a ship that's bad now might be better when engineering comes in. And that's not to mention things like Maelstrom, you know. So
I mean, fire.
Yeah.
Like imagine certain ships that don't have a billion doors to run through, so you can put a fire out in the ass end of the ship where your main power plant is. Like imagine having to put a fire out in your like engineering room of your caterpillar.
yeah,
It's you and your teammate. Your teammate's in the front turret. You're piloting the caterpillar. You get a fire breakout in the engineering section. Who's gonna get out of their seat and run back to the? There's like 50 doors between the front turret and the engineering
can
section.
lock them open. That's the like one feature that I want from engineering.
or you could
Yeah.
evacuate the
Especially,
air.
like, even
I know,
just
right?
even just in the Zeus, there are 3 doors or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's just like I want them to just stay open when I walk through them, so I can get up and just go
Yeah.
to the back instead of having to.
Or like the C1 where it's just a straight shot to the back. Like, oh no, a fire broke out in the cargo bay. Hold on a second, folks. Psh, okay, let's get back to the file of the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's gonna be certain ships that when engineering gets added, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Certain ships will be shit based on how they were designed by the artists. And there will be absolutely nothing that CIG could do to fix it. Other than like hull quirks. Like just magically buffing a ship with better stats. Like this ship is just 50% less chance to catch on fire for some reason.
The Redeemer. The Redeemer syndrome, where like we don't know how to make this thing work. We're just gonna slap size 5s on this bad boy so people can
All
use it.
ships built last 2 years and forward will be so much better than the ones that came before because they knew what they were doing with all the features that they're adding.
You're gonna have ships that are accidentally overpowered because CIG just didn't know what the hell they were doing. And it could be like some of the very early design ships, like the Retaliator, where people asked me about the Retaliator when it was finally had the modules, like the cargo modules added to it. And I'm just like, this thing's actually going to be pretty nasty as a cargo hauler because it has like 6 size 2 shields. It's covered in little turrets that could be used to plink at like small light fighters. You're not going to want to interdict this thing in the Cutlass.
Yeah,
like
it will be a great
like just for like running like high value like small end cargo across a heavily pirate infested system with like a group of teammates. Like sure, why not? Yeah, sure, interdict me with like fighters and whatnot. I'll just rip you apart, rip you to shreds.
It'll definitely take the mantle of the Falcon in that way. And that's one thing that like a lot of people are like, this is the Firefly. Well, it's this part of the Firefly.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people I forget what the last Firefly thing was, but like
Serenity.
The Starlancer. People are saying the Starlancer.
Starlancer.
Yeah.
But like if you go look at the cargo numbers for the Firefly, it is huge.
Yeah.
So like it's maybe like in feel it's got that like nose that protrudes in the belly that actually like is a lot boxier. But like it's small comparatively as far as like actual to do. The like way the cargo is designed on the Starfarer is much more like the cargo bay on this Firefly. So like a lot of different Star Citizen ships picks like a feature to have in all of these ships. I think the Retaliator is going to definitely have that like don't touch this ship when it's moving cargo of the Falcon. And to answer the question as well, balancing very rarely comes down to buff or nerf. It's always like nerf this part, buff this part in the same vein. Like maybe the DPS is too high, but the damage isn't high enough, so you have to tweak both knobs. And so on and so forth. With like now that we have components and like balancing of the overall ship, there are way more knobs than just buff nerf.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying is like we can't even answer the question buff or nerf is better because we don't know where it is. Sometimes you buff, sometimes you nerf. It really depends.
I think CIG is probably gonna hit it with the nerf hammer. Try to bring things down to a certain level. Rather than buff things. And that kind of irritates people a little bit, especially if you spend hundreds of dollars on your ship and that's all they only ship their own, and then CIG hits the ion treatment.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So we're going to speed this up a little bit because we've still been streaming for like 40 minutes for this one, and I still have, or recorded for 40 minutes, and we still have a ton left. So we're going to go through this a little bit faster. This one's pretty quick. Dell asks, when poop tech? Engineering 2.0? Yes.
no.
Famously, me and Vertigo, or I will blame us. Me, Vertigo, and Darge realized how stupid it would be, how ridiculous it would be that's to actually implement poop tech into Star Citizen, about how the poor person who has to like mocap taking a dump in there, and the freaking animator who has to animate all the different types of poo that are going to come out, and
Oh my god.
yeah, we just lost our mind laughing about how silly the whole concept was. And then CIG says, "No, we're
I
actually going
was
to do it."
I was there in that conversation.
Were you there too as well?
I was there.
Yeah, we just
Yeah, it was great. The animators, the artists, just Houdini's gonna have such a good time.
Yeah.
But no, it's not engineering. It is
Hygiene.
player actor status system V2.
Yeah, actor status system V2. And someone asked, like, showering? Yeah, we don't know
Yeah,
how the
that's
CIG
all-
is going to do it, but
All the
yeah.
same thing. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. There's excellent answer. It's not just a meme.
Okay, M. Diego asks, question. I hear you guys talk about 60 FPS or over 60 FPS constantly, and that's not my experience, and I'm not quite sure why. The other thing is, fact is, it might be a Linux thing. It may be a Linux thing, and it really depends on where you are and your hardware. Your hardware matters a lot more now, and how it's configured matters. So, like, do you have enough VRAM? Do you have enough RAM? Are you using an SSD? Are you using a SATA SSD? Are you using a M2 drive? Are you how's your connection? Where are you? Because like I don't get 60 FPS in Orison, but I get 120 FPS in like Stanton Station, Stanton Gateway. Depends on where you are.
Why is that link so long?
So
also the telemetry page.
Yeah.
Not as where is like go look up what changes in each of the like columns and rows compared to which pieces they have.
Mhm.
It only does the CPU and GPU, but watch videos and things of people talking about like RAM and stuff. £2.40, I think it is.
£10
Does a lot of
42.
hardware stuff. 10
10.
40. It like there's a lot. Starsis is very particular about the hardware that it wants, and you can just trump it by just like doing the latest and greatest of each CPU and GPU and just brute forcing it. But there are some things you can do at the mid range that will give it a lot better performance.
Yeah. But like consistently, it's higher now. FPS is higher than it has been before. Yes. So if you had a lower FPS score before, you should have higher FPS score now.
Yeah. I've been noticed I've been consistently getting better FPS now in Star Citizen since 4.0, 4.01's release.
I've been able to play with photo clouds once over 30.
Yeah. Yeah, I one of the reasons why I'm upgrading my PC this year is for gaming is because I have a 8 GPU, 8 gigabyte GPU. So I need to have something that's more. So I'm gonna upgrade to a 16 because I only play in 1440, so I don't need the 4K crazy stuff. I just need something that functions for my scale. But yeah. Because like I now know that if I improve my my rig, I will have better performance in Star Citizen. Not because Star Citizen just brute forcing it, but because it's being optimized that direction. So, so Shampasta asks, instead of long periods of silence from CIG, would it be better for them to just reiterate their previous talking points?
No.
Yeah. I think yes, but only if it's consolidated into a single thing. One of the things that's really cool about what CIG is doing now is they have this thing on Spectrum. I can't remember the name of it, but it's every so often, like every few months, they just gather a bunch of questions from Spectrum and then they answer those questions in a big post. So it's instead of having to scour Spectrum for Ollie Brown talking about something in Star Citizen about Vulcan, you could find out whatever it was being said. So
I mean, honestly, like I like the idea of having recaps every so often of like what's working on this, just to touch base with the community. Say, hey, like a Inside Star Citizen or a Star Citizen Live, where they say, hey, we're still working on this. Here's some progress since you last checked in. We're still committed. We're still planning on doing this. Because it never hurts to not have the John Crew, we're not working on base building right now, fiasco happen again.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
those updates are nice. Comlink.
Yeah.
No, it's not Comlink. It's called something.
Comdive.
Comdive. It's the Comdive. Yeah.
And I actually like the idea of like even like a Sisicon summary that actually does make sense. Like halfway between, like give a random, like somebody whoever wants to take up the mantle in between the break for or break from CitizenCon and the new year of Jared content. Somewhere in between there, have them like summarize CitizenCon.
All right, I'm gonna move fast because we still got a lot of questions left, and we're now at 45 minutes. And Diego followed up with saying, "Oh, actual question: what are your guys' settings for upscaling and resolution?" I use DLSS at 57%, and I stream at 14. I play at 1440. What do you do, Nas? You mentioned that.
My monitor is 4K, which is the worst. Don't ever buy a 4K monitor. It's terrible. Everything breaks. Everything requires too much energy. I use TSR. I flip between the different ones depending on if I need more FPSs or not. I very rarely try and play at native because I don't need 4K. 4K is useless.
Vertigo, what's your resolution you play at?
1080p.
Okay.
1920 by 1080p. I medium graphics settings. Use
do any
DLSS
DLS?
with that NVIDIA. Yeah.
Okay.
Got
Axis?
NVIDIA.
Axis, what are your settings? Do you know?
My settings are 1080p as well.
Okay.
Basically across the board. At one time, I found out I was streaming at 720, so I had to remedy that. That was lovely. Since I switched service providers, I'm potentially. You see, my old monitors, my computer monitors are fairly old, so I may have to retire them. So I have a 3060, so I think I can handle 1440.
Possibly. 3060 is a little on the low end, but yeah.
I may end up upgrading it to a 3080 to, give it more edge this way. So,
do you use DLSS or FSR or anything else like that?
What's that?
Upscaling, DLSS, FSR.
I don't use that. I just use the standard settings. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Next question comes from Gin and Tonic. Are you happy seeing more narrative in the game? Is this asking for me or is this for everyone?
I guess like you're the one who does the narrative stuff.
Yes, of course I am. I would love to see more. How about you, Axis? Do you want to see more narrative? Do you like narrative?
Yes, as long as it's going in the direction the updates are.
Okay.
Because, I don't know if anyone's loaded into the new PTU, but there's a splash screen that's very much reminiscent of Galnet for us elite players. It's like you're reading a newspaper. It's like, flash, this is happening from the Terra Gazette. That needs to be a going forward thing, I think, because then it becomes part of the moving lore of the updates as things continue, a moving narrative as we approach 1.0. And It may not seem like a lot, but it kind of puts a background narrative to what's going on.
Nas?
Yes, I'm very happy to see. It's very, it gives the game a lot more grounded purpose, not just like you said earlier, just grinding for grinding's sake. It feels like even walking around, even the narrative that you can hear as you're walking around places and the NPCs having conversations, even that is just really nice to feel in the game.
Vertigo, your thoughts on narrative? You like it coming in the game?
Yeah, it's nice as long as I don't accidentally turn into a terrorist. Because I chose the faction that had the coolest looking skin.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, Vertigo, you're the famous person who pointed out to me I don't know who I am. I don't know where I am. All I know is I must kill. That's how you play video games.
What happens when you jump over when you skip all the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, eventually you'll just be able to, pick it up from other players.
Yeah. I mean, Ninja, that's a completely different question. Is like what happened to Dooley calling you. I would love to have voiceover context for the missions you're supposed to do and actually meeting mission givers before you do it. That stuff is good. That stuff is important, and I think CIG needs to start adopting that. If
mission givers will come back.
Yeah.
Tessa Bannister will come back,
but
just not right now.
All right. Maverick asks, Is it possible that CIG is using the idea of bug fixing and content iteration as a way to shift development, the development and devs back to Squadron 42 in order to ensure the 2026 release window?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't, sure.
But not not feature work. They're working on all this for the engine. The engine happens to both benefit both games.
Yeah. I think it's a little crazy to say they were shifting it back, because I don't think CIG, again, this is, take it with a grain of salt based off of my own experience and from what I've talked with the people at CIG. The game is the situation they're in right now is that the game is doing, so it's like Squadron 42 is pretty much done. What they're doing is going back and changing details here and there and optimizing the fuck out of the game. One of the reasons why the game was crashing at CitizenCon, this is from somebody who works at CIG, who works on Squadron 42, says it's because they were running it, they weren't running it in dev mode. So they were running it in release. So it didn't have this, they didn't have any of the like optimizations for that specific build, for that computer's rig. So that's why it was crashing, is because they hadn't built it for that. So,
and they've always said, or they said once they hit feature complete and they moved all the devs over, like Squadron's still first priority.
Yeah.
Like if they need any devs, they will pull them. They don't have to ask.
No. But
like they're not moving them back. They've always been back whenever they need them.
So, someone's saying they said that in 2016. Yeah, but it's not 2016 anymore. Like, and these are people I like. This is not stuff that I've heard. This is stuff I've heard from inside the company, not official through official channels. So,
and like we saw it.
Yeah.
We know where they are. We have an Idris. We know where they are. Like we know how many rooms they have left to do on the Javelin. Like we know where they are.
Yeah. I understand the hesitation. It's just like one of those things where CIG has changed and things are not quite the same. And you're memeing. I got it, but it's like the amount of people I see pull up like, well, in 4.2 we're supposed to have this from that awful roadmap that CIG did in 2016 is like, yeah.
Farming was supposed to be like 5 years ago.
Yeah. That sort of stuff is just like, yeah, it happens. It's shitty, but like it doesn't help that, in 2025 when you're actually looking at the game that you want to see, saying like, well, they should have released this in 2019. Har 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 har. It's like,
yeah.
That's like saying it's the same time people who shit on No Man's Sky being like, No Man's Lie, you mean?
It's like just like
that is like not really.
It's like it's entirely, or people who shit on Elite because it's like, well, Odyssey was garbage. It's like, have you played Elite since then? Next question. I'm gonna move on from that. With Terra, Alciner asks, with Terra being the last system that brings release 1.0, how long till after the next system will that be? No idea. I'm going to say 6 months.
Yeah. CIG's gotta get their ass in gear when it comes to developing systems. So it's gonna take forever to get any more.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Axis.
I'm gonna dash some hopes on people wanting more distant locations. They're all going to be in the area around the current 5. So things like Kano, things like Magnus, that connect directly between Stanton and Terra. Hadrian, maybe Bremen, which connects to Nyx. But those I kind of shuffle off into the possible Squadron 42 branch, because Squadron, remember, is in Vega to begin with. So Vega, Bremen, Nyx, Odin. Those 4 are probably locked behind Squadron 42. I am not being a prophet here. I'm merely guessing, because to even get to Odin, you have to go through the Odin pipeline. I mean, and that's not a spoiler, folks.
All right, let's move through.
Sorry about that, Paul.
You're good. No, let's move on to the next question, because we're picking up a little bit. So Shapasa asks, now that the Pi Piss, the new interaction system, is in, Do you like the effing system where Fs show up everywhere, or is it better to implement? Is there a better implementation of CIG could move to?
I'm having a hard
prompt
contextual prompts. Yeah.
that basically says what the action is, which I'm pretty sure it does that anyway. It's like you can remove the F icon, like that's an option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it
I have it
just
on my
says
mouse buttons to because you use it for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't think it's that
It's
bad.
a good system. I like the system.
I'm an Arma player, so like the idea that you have one interaction button everywhere you go and it pops up everywhere is fine. I think just removing the prompt would be nice so that you could just
There's an option for that.
Is there in the
Yes.
UI? Okay. No,
Yes. It's been there since day one because they like released it saying, "Hey, you can turn that off. We know what happened the first time."
Okay.
My problem with it is like if it's a janky system. It
Mhm.
just needs to be tightened up a little.
Yep.
It's like you're trying to loot a body
Oh god.
and there's a bunch of other crap all over the place, or you're trying
Yeah.
to pick up something specific on the floor and there's a bunch of other crap all over the floor. You'll grab something you didn't.
I think
Like-
there should be something like Project Zomboid has, where you could in Project Zomboid, you could hit open inventory just anywhere, and it will show you all of the inventories around you,
Mhm.
whether that's the cabinet, the fridge, or whatever. As long as it's doing with like, next to you in 5 feet, it will just show you all the inventories. There needs to be something like that, like it lists some actions, and then you pick from those actions that you actually want to do. Because like boxes and with the system
if you're
gets
within a
confused.
certain distance of an inventory item, or if you're in certain if stuff on the floor, containers on the floor,
Mhm.
like backpacks, boxes,
So if you
items
wanna
on the
pick this
floor.
up, you want to carry this, or you want to open this?
So-
No, I want to pick it up.
If you press the inventory button, it opens all that stuff nearby, and you can just like drag stuff all over the place.
Mhm.
Honestly, that should probably not be like a transparent UI. That should be something that covered up to make it more looting, more kind of like Tarkov style, where looting is a little bit more intense.
Mhm.
You lose a lot of situational awareness while you're digging inventories.
I like that.
Yep.
All right. Next question comes from Cody Fox 00, who asks, if you could have either 1 engineering this year or 2 craft-based building this year, what would you take and why? The question itself is flawed.
Yeah.
You're not getting crafting and base building without engineering. They're
Yeah.
prerequisites.
Well, we already have crafting. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah. But I mean,
So
the idea of
CIG
like
can easily-
expanded crafting, I don't see that happening with CIG without them building in engineering in the first place.
Yeah.
Because
And,
like,
I mean, like-
engineering- the only reason we don't have engineering in the game is because QA time. It
Yeah.
would have been in 4.0, but they removed it so they could get 4.0 out at the end of the year. That was the only reason we don't have it.
and the reason why it's going to take a little bit longer, if it's going to be delayed even further, is because they want to focus on taking the features that are in now and tightening them up and shoring them up before they move on. So,
Right.
And so that requires the resources that would be going into engineering and QA and engineering.
Ta-da! Yeah.
So,
I still think it should be probably in 4.1 though.
all right. Next question comes from Northern Trooper, who asks, if or when we'll be able to have politics in game, or is that a 1.0 release? No.
We had a vote for the Imperator.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Couple
also
years
during
back at-
game with Fight for Pyro. We are
If the question, if
we are
Northern Troopers,
politicking Pyro.
if Northern Troopers asking about like factions,
Unless
and
they're
stuff like
asking
that,
about the other kind of politics, like
Oh,
LGBT.
yes.
And
She's also
yes. So
which is already in game because you're playing with people. It's
Yeah.
a multiplayer game. Congratulations.
Woo!
You're
Like,
playing with gay
honestly-
people right now. Like you don't know it.
Yeah.
like
Yes.
honestly, like base
I think
politics,
what
like, the
they're- I
entire
think what
system
they're-
of that was in when people started playing with other people, because there's actually a study done that most multiplayer, like even when you and your buddies play like Minecraft, you will naturally form what is called an enlightened anarchy, which is basically everyone's technically on their own. There are no technical laws except the laws you give yourself, but everyone just kind of shares stuff. That's an enlightened anarchy. So like any cooperative thing will become a political system,
Mhm.
and they just get to have a narrative behind it in Star Citizen that you get to vaguely interact with.
You're going to say something, Axis?
I'm going to argue, I think what North End Trooper was going for was similar to the power system or whatever it's called in
Power play.
Elite, where
Power
you
play.
power play. There it is, which we're fixing to get Power Play 2.0 in
Mhm.
with the next update, where you pledge your support behind a particular faction or candidate or whatever through it. For example, in Elite, currently I'm behind the Federation, but leaning towards some other people as well.
Bleh.
Yeah.
Bleh. No one will ever understand the glory of the Alliance. All right, so I don't care that we're tiny and we're often under.
Is that anything like the fight for power that we're doing now?
Yes.
Hey, this is why I have an Alliance challenger, Paul. Come on.
I hate the ships in the Alliance. I just like the Alliance because I can't stand the Empire and I can't stand the Federation. The Empire is too old.
I can't walk around my ship, so.
The Empire is too decrepit and old, and the Federation is too stuck up its own ass. So that's just me, though. But yeah, I get what you're saying, and I think we already kind of have that with the fight for Pyro. It's just not as it doesn't impact like
it's not as intricate because with the upcoming update, the faction you have, you can use it as a foothold for the colony you're founding in the game. Now, number one, why won't this work in Star System? Number one, we would need all 100 current systems, and as we know, we don't have that. And we would also need randomized number of unsettled systems beyond the core worlds. So that if they ever do anything like that in Star Citizen, you're going to be waiting at least 10 years.
As someone pointed out in chat, I was going to say this as well. 1.0. Like that's literally the story of Star Citizen. Is the fight between Terra and Earth. Who choose whose side you're going to side with. You know,
the better side, obviously, Terra.
Yeah, obviously.
My biggest gripe was it RSI and Argo go to Earth? But we get Anvil and
Origin.
Misk. Anvil and Misk. Origin. Drake, yeah. But RSI and Argo go to Earth, and I hate it so much.
Aegis will go to Earth too.
Oh yeah, no, they can have Aegis.
No warmongers.
All right, so next question.
RSI and Argo.
That hurts. I know. Also, Grey Cat because Grey Cat's in Mars. So.
Oh, that sucks. Maybe I'll create a smuggling ring to get Argo ships to Terra.
Escape asks, how do you guys feel about colors being uniform across armor sets?
Colors being uniform?
So the Imperial color in one armor set is not the same as the Imperial in another armor set.
Oh, that sucks. They need to absolutely take that out back and shoot it because no.
I've complained about this before.
We deal with that
certain
in real
colors
life.
don't match.
Yeah.
We don't need that real life being emulated in the game. Like one navy from one brand is different navy from another. No. Go use your naming schemes and your hex codes and unify them. Get out.
Yeah, and for people who are just like, no, Terra is not Earth. Terra is Terra. Sol is Earth. Terra is the star system, and Sol is the star system that has Earth. But it's Terra Nova.
Earth is Earth, but it's in the Sol system.
Yeah.
Terra is a planet in the Terra system, so it's Terra, and Earth Sol.
Yeah. So.
Yay!
Yes, as Jin
is
pointing out, Mr. Clown Armor complaining about colors. That's kind of Vertigo's point of doing the clown armor because it doesn't really matter.
I don't have to worry about stuff matching. I can just slap some garish shit together. That's one of the reasons why I put it together was just to hurt people's eyes and to have a uniform.
And unlike certain other people that pick fights with Knight Rider CIG, we don't worry about hex codes.
Oh God.
I don't have to worry about hex codes. I just slap some stuff on and it's just like, okay, let's go do some missions. Look at the stats of the armor and say this is good enough.
1, 2, 3.
Does it say 40?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 questions left. Let's get through this quick. We're right an hour.
We're gonna do burn down.
Burn down. We're rapid fire. Trouble Magnet asks, as part of the bug fixes, some of the existing systems might get major or at least minor reworks with some of the new functionality. What would you pick as a system to get improved on and how? The social system.
Yeah. I mean, they called that out last year at CitizenCon.
Mm-hmm.
In-game chat needs to be desperate.
Yeah.
The friends system needs to work better,
But that's in the pipeline too.
The question isn't
docking system. Docking,
docking
system.
system.
It needs to be fixed.
Axis. Any systems that are currently in game you'd like to see fixed?
Global chat.
Okay, social system. All of us.
Yeah, definitely global chat.
I agree though that the docking needs to be fixed too because it's kind of weird. It's better. It's gotten a lot better. I've seen people use it a lot more often, so it's not completely borked. But Dragon Wolf asks,
my Polaris.
Panelist choice for other Star Citizen or Star Kitten style tributes in Star Citizen. Deadmau5, Hakuni Miku, Master Chief. We need to have Hakuni Miku. All right.
We need just give it the Fortnite tribute and just bring in Naruto and
do it.
God, no,
Goku
and
Nikki Haley and
say shit what you want about weebs, but weebs are notoriously irresponsible spenders. If you put anime decals to be available on ships,
we literally had this question earlier. We need more nose art.
Yeah, and specifically anime style, waifus, like waifus, the sort of pinup stuff, that sort of style. People would go broke buying Star Citizen stuff.
What's the independent animation people on YouTube? Oh no, is it Glitch Animations? Yeah. They do. I think they do Love, Death, and Robots. What they do? There's a very popular murderous robot thing they do, and they also do circus, digital circus.
Oh yeah, digital circus. Yeah, amazing digital circus.
They have some cool art there.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Evangelion. Oh my God, those people are especially crazy.
Gin and Tonic asks, how does the panel feel about the reduced show schedule? ISC and SCL being seemingly once in a while with no set schedule.
I mean, it made sense to me. Like they were going to keep rolling back on ISC because they need to pinch the pennies, tighten their belts a little bit because
you want to know why
inflation's up.
You know why? It's not because inflation's up. It's Squadron 42.
They're filming for Squadron. Okay.
They're not filming for Squadron. They're filming promotional material for Squadron. So that team is obviously So
that makes a lot of sense. Ready to go.
But also, if we don't have anything to show, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what do we got this week? Well, we did some bug fixes.
Yeah.
Bring back Bug Smashers. Mm-hmm. Right?
They can't bring back Bug Smashers. They explain why they can't bring back Bug Smashers.
They also brought up
they got sued part of that.
It was part of the lawsuit.
They did also get sued by Crytek for Bug Smashers. But the amount
Crytek's going out of business here soon enough.
Yeah, true.
Which is kind of sad. Like they didn't get their last game out. But also screw you, Crytek, for going after Star Citizen. Which is hilarious because the lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice. Yeah. They can now put Squadron in the launcher, and they don't have the same launcher and not care.
Yeah.
If it was dismissed without prejudice, meaning Crytek could have sued them again. The last point they had that had any merit is Star Citizen and Squadron 42 in the same launcher, and they don't have to care anymore.
All right, next question comes from Gin and Tonic, who asks, "Oh no, that's already been a question. It's Lady Space Patrol. Nope, that's not a question. That's an insult. That's an insult. I finally got that joke. Oh god,
that's an insult.
That's an insult. Question: Raylan for Alien Week. They also ask.
No.
They also ask, are we doing a new ground vehicle between now and ILW? The G12.
Yeah.
G12.
Well, we already have. Didn't we already hit? No, G12's not in game yet.
Nope.
No, it's not. It's the last one.
I mean, they're going to add more, of course. We talked about it last broadcast. We talked about the new little missile tracked vehicle.
Yeah, we talked about that one.
Yep.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I could see the
Alien Week
next year.
Haven't they paused most Alien stuff?
They have.
Yeah.
I don't see any Alien stuff this year.
Yeah.
No, maybe they start working on it again, but it won't be this Alien Week.
No.
Yeah, we know what ships they're all working on. It's not Aliens.
Captain Canifrac asks, armor on ships when? That's literally Maelstrom.
Yeah. Physicalized damage, I guess.
Yep. That's physicalized damage.
Engineering after engineering.
And it's in the main branch, kind of like Vulcan, because Ali went on Spectrum and did a bunch of stuff talking about Vulcan, and he pointed out that Vulcan is internally already good to go. Like it's either at or close to being pushed for Squadron 42, and I think he said it's enabled natively for Squadron 42 already. So it's just a matter of them bringing that to Star Citizen. But if they brought it
Ranger,
if they brought it to Star Citizen, it could cause issues, more issues than they're willing to deal with right now. So that's why it's not being brought to Star Citizen quite yet. They're waiting for it to be stabilized before they bring it over. And that can be a while, is what they said. I imagine it also has to connect with things like the quantum system and all the other stuff which has been in the main branch for a while, and Star Citizen hasn't had a merge with the main branch in a while. So,
which I thought was a crazy realization that we haven't had a main branch pull since September.
Yeah.
So like the amount of code that's in that main branch right now that we don't have,
which is one of the reasons
a lot.
One of the reasons I'm worried about, like, I'm still kind of worried about CIG merging that main, doing a merge when after all they've done all of this fix, you know. All right, that's an insult. Then asks, we know that the Pioneer is getting work. What CNOU ship do you reckon is coming to build assets for the Pioneer? What does
medium
it do?
ship that we talked about in the first part.
Yep, we talked about a medium CNOU ship in the first part. Daedalus asks, when will heavy fighters have a purpose?
Perseus.
When you
Perseus
go
eventually.
fight something.
Yeah, they have purposes.
Like,
they
what's
just
heavy fighter? Scorpius. Like every time there's a conflict, there's a reason to have a Scorpius.
Scorpius,
I love the Scorpius.
Vanguard, the
Hurricane, because it has to be there.
I actually have a skin for the Hurricane. I don't even own a Hurricane.
Oh, what's the other one? The one that just came out.
The
Polaris.
Gladiator.
The Qui, yeah, the
Guardian.
Guardian, yeah, the Guardian is another
a heavy fighter.
Yeah. It's like they'll function. They have purposes. Their purpose is to be heavy. Like to give you context. Well, I guess technically the F8 is also a heavy fighter, but to give context, I actually fought a F8, a fully meta F8 with a Vanguard Harbinger, a stock Vanguard Harbinger, and I won.
Wow.
So they have purposes.
Was it fully crewed?
No, it's just me.
No, what's the
F8? F8, yeah,
F8.
F8 was fully crewed. F8 is only one seat. So yeah. No, it's only one seat for the F8.
I swear there was a turret on it.
There is, but it's used
There
as
is,
a slave to the pilot. So
Useless turret.
Yeah.
That's gotta be the worst. All other the heavy fighters, don't they have like turret people?
No, not all.
A lot of the other heavy fighters have turret.
Scorpius and the Hurricane do.
Hammerhead. Why did I say Hammerhead?
The Scorpius, the Hurricane, and the Vanguard all do. Yeah.
Hmm.
Guardian and Vanguard are useless against PvP sweatlords. Okay.
That's not their purpose.
Yeah.
Their purpose is to go headlong into something like a Xeno threat
Or
and come out.
Or to shoot like Connie, you know.
Yeah, like they have a different purpose than 1v1ing people.
Mhm.
Like you want 1v1, you pick light fighters. That's the 1v1 ships.
And Daedalus even said, I asked the question, but I know the answer when armor comes out. My point is more about when heavy fighters with low value hard points, what happens to them when if heavies are armored targets.
I mean, like even if you can't be penetrated, if you can't kill anybody, like what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, if your maneuverability sucks,
Yeah.
and they tear you apart by looking you to death with like low power laser weapons, you're still gonna die. It's gonna take you a half hour.
Yeah.
But then you become a point of attention, so your teammates, assumably, can focus on them while you hold their attention. Basic MMO raid rules.
All right, we got 3 more questions. Andy, Radar Ranger asks, so where is Transit Refactor? This is actually fun because there's actually 2 answers.
4.1 or something.
There's 2 answers
Next
to this.
month.
One is it's being worked on right now and will be out in 4.02. The second is that that version that I just talked about is a small fix, and the longer fix is going to happen in several months. So the one that they're doing right now is a temporary fix to make things work better than with what they have, and the long-term fix is also being worked on right now that takes into account further fixes and updates to the engine. So
Yeah. So the one we're getting in 402 is the healing code, and then they're going to start the long process of ripping the entire thing out and making it a service.
Yeah. So
which they said they should have done back when they started doing the instance hangers.
But they didn't. Yeah.
But they didn't, and they now know that was a terrible idea.
Yeah. They should have just put that effort into the refactor, although I did like to hear the rationale was why they didn't.
It was also on the show when they talked to it was basically they had the two no before that last year.
Oh.
I forget who they talked to. They could talk to the guy who was in charge of the instance hangers project.
Yeah.
Basically, they looked at the project and said, "This is going to take a long time. This is going to take less time." And they're like, "We think we can do it with the less time, so we're going to do it with the less time." And they ran into it. When they actually got into implementation, they realized that was the wrong plan, but they were too far in to backtrack.
Yeah.
So it was just they made the wrong decision.
They made a mistake.
Womp womp.
Yep.
All I had.
All right, we've got two more questions. Captain Cataphract asks, are we going to have a new Cyclone variant? Is Cyclone Amphibian Scout a possibility since we have water implementation?
Ooh.
I don't know if we're gonna have like actual boat. Yeah, I saw they had showed off a boat for like the Squadron 42 trailer a long time ago.
Yeah.
Moving boats would be so ridiculously like labor intensive, though.
I don't think we're going to see like ducks, where like it's part car, part boat. I don't think that's going to happen.
We
I
have
don't think
spaceships
we're
for
gonna
that.
have paddle boats.
Chris Roberts is like crazy enough to do it though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't see that being a priority until like they actually build out like underwater stuff. But
Mm-hmm. I will not accept boats unless they come with boat trailers for ground vehicles.
And then again, you have to populate underwater with life
That's what I
forms
mean.
and POIs
Yeah.
as well. So,
I don't think they're going to do anything with that until they have a full underground or underwater ecology that they want to do. And then including things like resources you can gather. So things you could use for crafting and such.
Subnautica coming to a star system near you.
Hey, I mean, it worked with No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky did the same thing. So,
Yep. Yeah, like we could actually be looking at something like a No Man's Sky kind of scenario post 1.0. Just like, hey, we're doing more stuff and more stuff and more stuff.
It just depends on how well they can stabilize now. And like I've said for a long time, this year is the put up or shut up year. They have to start putting it up, otherwise, there's no point.
Yep.
Thanks for answering my question. Was more pointing out why would you take a heavy or medium fighter that's faster, more maneuverable, and just as heavy armored? There's no. I mean, it's entirely up to you individually. A lot of people do take it because of looks or taking on because of PvE rather than PvP. There's lots of reasons to take.
Yeah, they're really good at PvE. Plus, they are better in wings
and range.
Yeah. Better.
Like you could go a lot further in a Vanguard than you can go in a F8 or an F7. So.
Yep.
Last question. Captain Shakiro asks, what do each of the folks present think of the most critical bug needs to be fixed for Star Citizen to open the door to squashing the Bug Citizen title? I will start by saying the elevators.
I agree. Elevators.
Same.
Oh, okay, so I'm just gonna be the one out here. Okay, fine. I will be pessimistic and say that they will never get rid of that because the one bug you'd have to fix is people's brains, and that's never going to be fixed. They will always have the bug citizen lingering over them. They will always have the scam over them, much like No Man's Skies will always have the meme hanging over them that they lied. You're not going to fix it. Even if we had 100% bugless game, it's not going to go away. Other than that, like the biggest bug I'd like them to fix would be hangar doors being open but not actually open.
Yeah. I think the only thing that's going to change people's perspective is the game being improved, and the game will be improved. There will always be people who meme on it, but like the people who say No Man's Lie are people who haven't played No Man's Sky in 3 years, or people who saw it in the first launch, went, "Ha! and then moved on. And haven't even thought about the game. And so they think of it as more of a classic failure rather than what it actually is.
The people who do that to No Man's Skies weren't going to like No Man's Skies anyway.
Yeah.
They just bought it because of the hype and then just hated it for the sake of being anti whatever the internet was saying. And now they're just have to carry the torch for their own ego.
So I think the bugs as title is removed when the major bug, like the elevator falling through planets, those things are no longer there. Because when you hear somebody go, well, this game sucks because I just fell, because you just fall through planets, and most of us go, how long has it been since you played Star Citizen? Because I've heard people be like, oh, you get 2 FPS in the game. I'm like,
yeah.
When's the last time you played the game? You know?
In 10 years, when like somebody encounters a bug, like I'll probably do this myself. And like I'll be streaming and like I encounter a bug. Well, it wouldn't be Star Citizen without bugs. Like, yeah. It's just gonna be a thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for that, for joining us. Thanks for this very long, extended After Dark Q&A session. Thank you. Make sure you check out HD Vertigo and Axis on Twitch, and check out Nazareth on the Nova Forge on Twitch and YouTube. And if you enjoy this, check us out live at twitch.tv/TheAstroPub, youtube.com/TheCaptain'sTablePodcast, where we're live on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Would love to have you come down and join the chat, express your own opinions. Make sure you hit that follow button on Twitch, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, like the video if you enjoyed it, hit the bell icon to be notified of release, and your comments down below on anything we've talked about here today. And like I say every time, hope to see you someday in the black. All right, chat. We're gonna go find someone to raid. So the idea is to find somebody who is small, who's not a very big streamer, or is just starting out. Let's see. Yeah, I like Celine, but like, and I found one, which his name is Casey Luther. There is 10 people watching them currently. Okay, they're a VTuber. And since they're a Catboy VTuber, I was going to feel like this is an appropriate raid. So go say hi to Casey. What I want you to do, chat, is I want you to follow him or follow them, and I want you'll probably have a little like little sound that goes off with their follow alerts. Break it. I want you to follow and hug his bot so much that he has to turn it off. Later, y'all. Go join him.